locally on my end, so I don't fuck that up. So, now that we're recording, now that we're good to go, I have a pending alert, apparently. I have a new item. Oh, look, a box. Let me just immediately delete that. So, yeah. As usual, I figured I'd go ahead and start with cases, just so I can, again, get my voice warmed up, get myself in the mood to be talking for the next 2 hours or so. So, yeah, I haven't opened Warpaint cases in a while. I've been kind of avoiding these because every time I open Warpaint cases, I am just really disappointed because a vast majority of Warpaints I really do not like. You know, I really only am a big fan of a certain number of them. And a lot of the ones in, like, the more recent cases are pretty shitty. So, I'm Nems has subscribed, thank you. You are too kind. Ignore the stupid hype train thing that's Twitch's idea of trying to juice more money out of you. Don't do it. So, yeah, and I'm gonna say the disclaimer ahead of time this time. Don't ever open cases. You're never, ever going to get anything worth your money. Ever. Your chances of getting a profitable return are less than 70%. Right out of the gate. The odds are against you in your favor. You're gonna lose money. And then when you do start flipping it's actually probably lower than that. It is lower than 70%. It's gonna be like 80 or 90%. So, don't open cases, ever. It's pretty much always a guaranteed loss of your money. Don't ever do it. It's never a smart idea. Am I selling the Masked Mender? Yes, I am, so I can fuel my skin addiction and complete my SMG collection. It was a cool unbox, but it's given me something to trade off for some actual money so I can complete the SMG escapade. So, don't open cases. I'm gonna open these. I'm gonna get 4 just like mercenary grade, field tested or worse skins. That's just the way it goes. And this first one's gonna be like Spider Season Well Worn, because I always get that. Portal Plastered Minimal Wear. Ooh, yay! Everyone's favorite minimal wear. It's just like a lot of these Warpaints are just so underwhelming, man. I'm gonna guess Gordy Greed, or Green? I always say Greed. It's Gordy Green. Field tested. It has to be. No, Crawl Space Critters field tested. It's a purple, but oh, that's minimal wear? Okay, that's min wear. Sure. It's like a more scuffed version of min wear, because you can probably find a pattern that does not look nearly as scuffed. I guess this one just looks more scuffed than usual. Okay. There you go. Have we decided the weapon? No, we've not decided the weapon yet. We're gonna get through the cases first. Battle-scarred Eye Stalker. No, factory new candy-coated. Very cool. And Solstead's handing out a gift sub. Thanks, man. Alright, so we got a factory new candy-coated. My favorite. Just more fucking candy corn. And then last but not least, I don't even want to place a guess. It's lovely, well-worn Portal Plastered. So, as you can see here, we have 12 cents, we have about 22 cents, we have about another 22 cents, and then we have maybe 40 cents. We didn't even make back the value of 1 key, and I used 4. So that right there is already a testament to just never open boxes, because you're just never gonna get anything. Unless you get, of course, hideously fucking lucky. That's just how it goes. It's like 5 McNuggets, bro! Yeah, the 99-cent oh, it's $1.08 in the United States with taxes. So, yeah, $1.08 with tax. So there you go. Alright, so let's figure out who's on the chopping block for today, shall we? Let's do that. Who's it gonna be? So the first thing I need to do is I need to remove the demo man, because we already did the demo man. So, you guys ready? We're gonna figure out who it's gonna be today. The only one that I'm kind of not excited about is the medic tier list, because medic has so few items that it's gonna be done in like 45 minutes. And then that's gonna be a wrap. That's all it's gonna be. So what I'm gonna do, actually, yeah, now that someone's reminded me, can I mute? I can mute Streamlabs, I think. No, I can't, because it's open in a different frickin'... I have to go to Streamlabs to actually turn down the volume. Hold on, let me do that real quick, just so it's not a distraction. Oh, can I log into the platform, please? You suck dick. Let me go in. No, I'm not downloading your shitty software. Stop it. Alert boxes. Follow. Follow. Can I turn down the volume? Is there any way to turn down the volume? Follows. Sound volume, nil. Descriptions. Sound volume, nil. Save settings. Alright, now... everything should be nice and quiet. We don't have to worry about pesky sounds. Everything should be peaceful. So... let's do it. Why did I delete my old streams? I didn't delete them. I just, I unlisted them because people were only coming to harass me whenever I was playing Team Fortress 2. And, they were just harvesting clips to put into clip compilations. So now the only way you can access my stream VODs is to either sub to me, and that's it. Then you are allowed to see my stream VODs or clip my streams. I'm not gonna make it easy for the assholes. So in order for you to be an asshole to me, you gotta pay me some fucking money. That's why. So, hoping it's not medic today, we're gonna see how it's gonna go. Let's find out. Oh, it's loud! I keep fucking not turning it down. Odd soldier! Alright. I can do soldier. That's perfectly fine with me. Where's the soldier? Here we go. Alright, we're doing the soldier today. We're doing the soldier today. Soldier is boring, streamer. Soldier is boring. Do something else, streamer. Fuck you. This is my tier list. We're doing soldier today. Chosen at random. You don't want to watch? Fucking leave. So, as a brief reminder as to what these tiers mean, broken needs a nerf/rework, means that it's so good that it needs some kind of a nerf because it's just, it's broken. It needs something to tone it down. A is the best, B is good, C is middle of the road, pretty alright, D is bad, E is really bad, and broken means, like, bad, needs a nerf, or not needs a nerf, but, like, broken in that it's bad or needs a rework means that the weapon is so bad in either that it's buggy or it's broken and that it actually does not work, and therefore it needs some kind of an adjustment in order to make it actually usable. So that's what this lowermost tier means. So, where do I start? You guys pick. You guys get the ball rolling for me. You get to pick the first one. Whichever one I see the most of. Whip, direct hit, equalizer, Mangler, equalizer, airstrike, airstrike, black box, equalizer, airstrike, 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 equalizer. It's like a tie between the equalizer and the airstrike. So let's do the let's get the airstrike out of the way first. Okay, so the airstrike. I made an entire video about this weapon because it is hideously fun to play with, but it is just so lackluster whenever you decide to use it properly that it's just really underwhelming in comparison to any other rocket launcher. And it's really unfortunate, because this thing has the potential to be a fucking amazing weapon, but it's only amazing whenever you have, like, all of the planets and stars align in that perfect little scenario where you can really juice out the maximum potential of this thing. And the only thing the main thing I don't like about this weapon is that it's hideously counterintuitive, right? This is the weapon that encourages you to rocket jump in order to get a faster firing speed. So you can do like a carpet bombing thing, or do like a really powerful bomb in on one or multiple targets with multiple rockets and do a lot of damage, right? But at every turn, this thing screws you over when you do rocket jump. It already has a smaller blast radius and a damage penalty, but then when you rocket jump, your blast radius is reduced even further, so your already weaker rockets end up doing even less damage unless they're really fucking close to your target. And most of the time, at least from my experience, whenever you fire off a volley of rockets, a vast majority of them tend to not make their mark unless it's on a slow or stationary target. So, even with the number of rockets bombarding your enemy, they're not going to be spread out enough to do enough splash, and even if they do manage to hit that splash, it's reduced damage splash. So at the end of it, you're doing like 45, 30, 25, 30, 40, all with all your different rockets. It's not even enough to kill like one guy, you know? That's the main problem with this weapon, is that it completely gimps the soldier when he's rocket jumping unless his target is stationary, and that pisses me off to no end. Other than that, this weapon is a lot of fucking fun, and you can do some really fun shit with it. That's why I made the whole video about it, because for me, it's one of the most fun weapons a soldier can use. Yeah, the Airstrike is good for crowd control, but only when you know the crowd control is going to be in a specific location, right? A very powerful thing about Soldier is that he can pre-fire, right? You can send spam down a choke point where you know people are going to be. And the lovely thing about normal Soldier is that you can, you know, get a rocket, get splashed around a corner at a target that might potentially be there. This rocket launcher is infinitely weaker at doing that. You have to know for sure that someone is there or is going to be there, otherwise every shot that you get off while airborne is going to be infinitely less effective than any other shot from any other rocket launcher, aside from the direct hit, which has reduced, you know, splash damage, so. That is true. But you have to have the crowd visible, and you have to bomb into them in order for it to do a decent amount of damage to actually get the job done. And that's something else I don't like about this weapon. This weapon encourages you to jump into the air, up into the air, and then fire down on your enemy. But you have fall-off damage, right? You have damage fall-off, so you propel yourself in the air, which just increases your distance from your target, meaning that you have more damage fall-off between yourself and your target. So the only really effective way to use this weapon is to basically suicide bomb in onto one or more targets so you can get rid of that damage fall-off and potentially secure more direct hits with those rockets. And the weapon does facilitate that to some extent with the reduced, you know, self-damage on rocket jumps, but what is it, like 15%, I think is what it is? It's not that much? Or is it 25%? Yeah, it's only 15%, and a 15% reduction in damage to, like, reducing yourself by a quarter of your health on a rocket jump, that still brings you down to, like, 168 health, or, like, 173 health. It's not that significant of a difference. So the self-damage on this thing is still really bad unless you pair it with the gunboats. And that's really the only time you can use this weapon effectively is when you are using the gunboats. Because if you're not rocket jumping, and not rocket jumping a lot, this weapon sucks. So. Zenexi gave out a gift sub. Thanks, man. Yeah, and also, you have to build up your clip with more rockets in order to make those rocket jump bombs worthwhile, right? Yeah, you can, you know, use one rocket to rocket jump and then volley in with 3 more rockets, but the reduced damage and the damage fall off and the even further reduced blast radius on rocket jumping just makes those 3 rockets really weaker. So you have to have some ground play time in order to build up that clip size so those bombs become more effective when you do actually rocket jump. But then the problem with that is that you're just always playing with weaker rockets. So it's even harder to get that clip size up. But like once you get over that threshold of like 5, like once you get 5 rockets in your clip, like you secure 1 or 2 kills, which again on a soldier with a weapon that has blast radius and if you're on the ground, it's not that difficult. But against anything that isn't, against anything that's above like 175 health, you're gonna need at least 3 rockets. So you completely deplete your fucking rocket clip, and then it's a weird balance trade-off with it. Which I think that's at least the most balanced part about this weapon, is that it can be really powerful with jumping, but you're weaker on the ground at all times, which is definitely what it needs. But the problem is that when you do airstrike with it, you do an airstrike with the airstrike, haha, no pun intended, you still end up being a lot weaker than if you had just rocket jumped normally with the item, right? And it's just those two small things that hold it back. It's that reduced blast radius while jumping, and then the self-damage that you take when you do rocket jump with this item, meaning that you cannot pair it with any other secondary and have a viable loadout, that really holds this weapon back from being on par with the other rocket launchers. And to me, it's just... oh, it's so frustrating because it's like, it's almost there. It's so fucking close to being good. It's just like, it's shooting itself in both feet and then it can't jump anymore. It's really, really frustrating. Like, I wish that it didn't do that, but it does. That's what we're stuck with. So you know what? I'm going to actually bump it down. I'm going to bump it in C tier because it's good. Like, you can play well with this thing. I can play well with this thing. I know I can. But the amount of effort it takes to get yourself to that level in a life with a higher clip size and then continuously having to sacrifice your own health and risk your own life to continuously pull off bombs onto the enemy team to do that enhanced damage with that faster firing rate and that enhanced clip size completely just tears this thing down, right? It's not, it doesn't have enough for me to always want to sacrifice more powerful rocket launchers in exchange for this thing. That's my main problem. It's almost there. It's almost there. That's why I say that this thing is almost good. It's so close. And what makes me really happy too, what makes me really happy about this is that High GPS actually saw the video I made about it, and inside of its balance mod, he removed that stupid blast radius penalty while jumping, and that version of the item is already so much better because it doesn't punish you heavily for rocket jumping, which is what you need to do in order to make up for that damage penalty, and the, you know, the increase in damage fallout because you're putting yourself further away from your targets. So, have you ever tried running Liberty Launcher Gunboats Market Gardener? I have, and I'll get to that when I talk about the Liberty Launcher, because the Liberty Launcher, it's pretty good. It's not like great, but it's not bad. Always felt wonky to play with this thing. It does feel very wonky to play with this thing, because if you're very accustomed to either the black box, or the stock rocket launcher, or the cow mangler, you're very used to that normal amount of blast radius you have to work with, right? You know where you need to place your rockets in order to do a certain amount of damage. Like, you know, the more experience you have with the class, you know what you need to do a certain amount of damage. If you swap over to the Airstrike, you have the damage penalty and the reduced blast radius. So it's this double whammy of like, fuck, I have to like really adjust my muscle memory and my movement in order to like really make sure that these lower damage rockets are doing the maximum amount of damage as they can. And it's a little frustrating, kind of like if you're swapping over from, like, say, the stock grenade launcher over to something like the lock and load, right? And you have to make up for that difference in projectile speed, and then once you do, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can play with this thing. That's more or less what you have to do with the Airstrike. Once you compensate for that lack of damage from the reduced blast radius, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can still do okay with it, right? Would assists counting towards that clip size increase help or not? No, because it's very easy for soldiers to get an assist because of splash damage, right? It would make it too powerful, right? You could land one well-placed rocket inside of a group of people, and then a demo man could follow with like one pipe and then kill everybody you just damaged. And then that's like, what, 3 assists? And you automatically have 3 rockets in your clip? No, that'd be too strong. Assists accounting towards this thing's clip size would not be a smart thing to do. But now that you bring that up, I think potentially an interesting change if they were to change nothing else about this item. If they kept the blast radius penalties on there, if they kept the damage penalties on there, if they kept everything else the same. I think potentially an interesting change would be to make other weapons count towards the kill counter on the Airstrike from either your secondary or your melee. So at least at that point, you have a reason to use your secondary or your melee with this thing, because, oh yeah, if I do follow up with a shotgun, that gives me an extra rocket in my clip. Or yeah, if I do pull off a market gardener or smack someone with a whip or a fucking, you know, axe or a pickaxe, then yeah, it's gonna, you know, it's gonna give me an extra rocket in my clip. And then that would enhance your ground play, because now that you have more rockets in your clip being able to be built up by other weapons, okay, yeah, I have all around weaker rockets, but I can still have more chances to fire them off. Whereas how it is right now, only kills from your primary boost up the clip size. So, yeah. Yeah, and that would actually be a good idea, you're right. Combining it with the reserve shooter would actually be pretty sweet. it's not a bad idea, because right now the reserve shooter is pretty versatile between all the rocket launchers, except the Beggar's Bazooka, because it's not really a combo item. But yeah, I could see that. I could see that definitely. I main the Airstrike since you made the video about it, and I think I'm a soldier main. If you like, just because you like playing a class doesn't mean you main the class, you know? But yeah, I like the idea of using the Airstrike and the reserve shooter. That's pretty cool. Faster reloading, that's something I mentioned as well, because once you deplete your once you deplete your entire clip size, you have to wait a really long time in order to be able to pull off the bomb again. Like, if you have all 8 rockets at your disposal, you fire them all up, you're like, fuck, I'm just fucking cramming these things in there. Like, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there. You're spending like 20 seconds just shoving rockets back in this thing. And then you can do it again. However, I did mention, I think I mentioned in the video that I made, that a boost in reload speed wouldn't be a bad idea. I actually changed my mind now. I do think that's a bad idea, because a very important balancing aspect for Soldier, and especially for this weapon, is the longer reload time, because Soldier very much is the burst damage class. And the burst damage classes in this game are very much either balanced by bullet spread or reload time, except for Sniper. Therefore, if you were to increase the reload time, or sorry, if you were to decrease the reload time on this weapon, it would make it really fucking strong, because you could pull off that potentially more powerful burst damage more often, and that might bump it into the broken territory. So I don't think putting a faster reload speed on this thing is a good idea. I would form this thing after real enemy airstrikes, which are super precise, don't penalize the damage, and just the blast radius. I think the damage penalty is necessary, because if you're able to just do 49 damage max distance rockets with this thing over and over again, it would be pretty brutal. Which is testament to how effective this thing is on a sentry gun, right? Even if you do like a simple pogo jump and then volley off 3 rockets on a level 3 sentry gun, you're going to take it down. Because against sentry guns, you have no damage fall off, right? It's pretty strong against buildings, but against players, damage fall-off comes into play, and it's not that good. At a long distance, I should say. Only at a long distance. What about a faster reload speed if you only hit 6 rockets? That would certainly counteract the issue of being able to pull off the bombs more often, but it would still be there, right? Because, like, once you hit that 6+ rocket thing, the 6+ rocket clip, then you're pulling off those bombs way more often, and it kind of has the same broken balancing idea like random crits, where you're rewarded with more damage by doing more damage, and I'm not a fan of the idea. I think the amount of damage you do, or at least the rate at which you do that damage, should be the same always for a weapon, right? I don't like the idea of a weapon suddenly having a faster or slower firing speed, because not only does that screw up consistently, not only does it screw up consistency, but it fucks up DPS, right? And if your weapon suddenly starts doing more DPS unexpectedly, like if you're suddenly unaware of it, not only does that throw you off, but it could be completely unfair to another player, right? Because most of the time, players who are, who have some experience with this game, expect a certain amount of damage to come from a certain class. Like, oh, hey, there's a demo man, I expect for this pipe to do 100 damage to me. Or, hey, I see this soldier, I expect him to be able to fire rockets at a certain rate, and I can be able to I can take evasive action and dodge and move them as needed. I just hit my microphone. But then if you suddenly give him a faster firing rate or a faster reload speed, because he has 6 or more rockets in there, then the frequency at which he's able to fire those things off is really going to throw people out of whack. It's like, whoa, why is this guy suddenly able to do so much damage way more quickly now? Oh, he has 6 rockets in his clip. And even though it would be rare, it would still be, I would think, a little bit unfair to the other person. Because when you're confronting an airstrike soldier and you see him in the air, you know he's able to fire faster now. But I know that now that he's done that, he's not going to be able to do it again for a while, right? But then you have to hold that mental tidbit in your brain. Oh, shit. Does he have 6 or more rockets? He's going to be able to do that again pretty quickly. It adds another level of unknown variable, which is kind of why I don't like random crits, because, oh shit, he's suddenly going to be able to do more damage at a random interval. Or not inherently random, but at an interval unknown to me. It's like, I don't like the idea. I don't like the idea. What if banners were a separate slot so that you could have both a shoddy and a banner? That would be broken. Or a horrifically broken idea. Being able to have a primary, a secondary, and only having to sacrifice your melee for a banner. Banners being the most influential items in the game, aside from a medigun or a sniper rifle, that would be hideously overpowered. Stupid broken. No, not a good idea. Because imagine being able to run stock rocket launcher with a shotgun or a reserve shooter. You would build up that damage so quickly that you would be able to build up the damage so quickly after like 2 or 3 kills, but via combos, and then you'd have the banner, and then you'd just be able to keep doing that. Wow, that'd be really strong. Yeah, oh yeah, primary gunboats and banner. That would be fucked. That would be really fucking strong. No, I don't like that idea at all. That's brutal. Yeah, Soldier's pretty strong as is. He doesn't need any kind of significant buff. I would say, right now in TF2, alongside the Demo Man, he's one of the most balanced classes in the... I would say a vast majority of things in TF2 are a very good spot right now, balance-wise. We have very few outliers from the well-balanced baseline that are actually problems in the game right now. Most things in TF2 are pretty much fine, I would say. So, yeah, there's that. But, yeah, I think that's good enough for the Airstrike. I pretty much just condensed all of my arguments that I made in that video into like a couple of, or like 20 minutes, but I think you get the idea. I think you get the idea. Yeah, Airstrike is just C tier. It could be better, holds itself back. I wish it didn't. I wish it didn't. Okay, what next? I see Cow Mangler, I see Bison, I see battalions. You know what, let's do the battalions. Let's knock out the other weapon that I made a video about. Let's do battalions. I still firmly hold myself by the opinion that the battalion's backup is the best item in the game. Period. It is insanely good, and it's incredibly well balanced for what it does. And just to remind you for what this item does, after you deal 600 damage, this weapon turns off crits, it turns off mini crits, and it gives you a 35% damage resistance against all damage sources. 8 seconds? Or 10 seconds? Was it 8 seconds or 10 seconds? God, I can never fucking remember. I've been playing this game for how long? Does it even tell you? That doesn't even tell you how long it does. 10 seconds? It's 10 seconds, thank you. Oh, also it gives you the passive buff of 20 health, which is what this item, and what all banners, I think, really need is some kind of a passive bonus in order for it to be, like, worthwhile using. That's my opinion. We'll talk about that more when we get to the buff banner. But the lovely thing about the battalion's backup is that it is the most team-oriented weapon, and it's the most powerful, right? Because this is the only weapon, or I keep calling it a weapon, this is the only banner whose passive bonus doesn't require for your teammates to be able to land shots. Think about that for a minute. With the conch, you have to land shots to get health back. You get the speed buff, but that's it. You have the buff banner, which gives you mini crits, but you have to be able to land shots in order to make those mini crits worthwhile. With this, you just have to be near the soldier and you get all these amazing passive buffs. Also, yeah, it doubles your health against sentry guns. Totally forgot about that. 50% health, or I should say 50% damage resistance against sentry guns, which is really fucking good. It's insane. You have twice as much health against a sentry gun, but only against the rockets. It's actually not quite true. It's more like a 40% damage resistance against sentry gun bullets, just because of how damage ramp up works against sentry gun bullets. Not sure why that is. Still really fucking strong. Just saying. Still really fucking strong. Actually, I lied. No, not against just the rockets, because the rockets count as regular soldier rockets, so you only have a 35% damage resistance against them. But against sentry gun bullets, you have something that's close to 50%, but not quite. Comp players, especially Bandy, want the battalion's backup nerfed because of how much damage it negates despite the soldier already sacrificing a shotgun and gunboats. They don't like this item because it completely counteracts how they play sixes, right? Sixes is a very close, tight-knit thing where you have a cluster of 6 players always engaging another cluster of 6 players. If you have this tight cluster of 6 players, all of them suddenly not being able to take as much damage as everybody else against these guys are already at an automatic disadvantage, and these guys can just roll over them. And they can't be countered with something like crits or a sniper. Yeah, in competitive 6v6, I can understand why they don't like it. But inside of casual and the chaotic sphere that is like normal 24-man servers, people are usually so spread out and doing their own thing and almost never come together to form like an actual coordinated team push, a very well-coordinated team push, that this thing becomes like overpowered. And even then, you have not the entire 12-man team being affected by this banner, still having to go up against the entire other 12-man team, right? So you have a lot more balance and leeway with how much is being, how many players are being affected by the banner versus how many players have to actually go up against it, right? So in casual mode, the higher player count and the variety of classes and damage sources and damage types and spies, which can turn this thing off in an instant, balance this thing out. And that's the thing too. The counter to this item is just pure focus fire, right? If you're going up against a 12-man team, right? You have 4 players being affected by this banner, and you're trying to push into a sentry gun and like 6 other players, they can focus fire you down and still fucking kill you, right? It's not like you're invincible with this thing. So, there's that too. Yeah, this item is fucking amazing. 2 more things about this item too. Kritzkrieg, the Kritzkrieg in TF2, whenever, let's say, you activate it on a heavy or hit scan class, there are very few counters to that. Because if you're kritzing a heavy and he's hanging back and there isn't a sniper to just one-shot him, then he's going to be able to lay waste to the entire team because, you know, across the map crit hit scan is really fucking powerful, right? The battalions is a nice counter to that, which is great. It's a counter to Sniper, which I will always firmly stand by. I think Sniper is broken and needs a nerf. Counter Sniper, which is fucking great, because if you have some god-tier sniper on the enemy team that's just melting through all your teammates at all times because he's pumped 5,000 hours into the class, and to him, he's just clicking pixels, right? He's not having to worry about anything else but clicking on heads. You can fuck him over with this thing so your team actually has a chance, which is fucking great. Another reason why I love this thing. And yeah, pushing into sentries with it is also pretty good. Yeah, and all of it's balanced by the fact you don't have a secondary item that deals damage, and you have to deal 600 damage with pretty much only your primary weapon. Which, unless you're directly in someone's face, shooting a rocket down their throat, with your hitbox like fucking their hitbox, and you taking self-damage, it's gonna take a little while. Because you have to rely on weaker splash and damage fall-off in order to build up that damage, right? A few well-placed rockets into a crowd of people can charge this thing, right? If you're close. So. And also the passive health bonus on this thing is really nice. It didn't have that before, it has it now, it's awesome. This weapon is this item is in a perfect state. Leave it as is, it's fucking awesome. This is one of the best support items in Team Fortress 2. And I hope to God they never fucking change it. It's so good. And it's fun. And it's fair. It's fucking great. It's awesome. Battalions in Wave 6v6, it's 6v6. 666 is also a godsend against the bullet hell crits. Yeah, that's something else too. This item's actually very good in Man vs. Machine. Instead of having to have teammates waste money on crit resistance, you can just have someone run a battalions and turn off all crits. And reduce damage by 35%, which is fucking awesome if you want to do that. Like, for example, if you're running, if you're doing like the 4 soldier stack on Bavarian bot bash in 2 cities, you can have one guy run battalions, and crits are just never a problem. The crit pyros are never a problem, snipers are never a problem, crit soldiers and heavies and demos are never a problem. It's fucking great. It's awesome. My favorite battalions moment is denying comp tart with Kritzkrieg. Yes, dude. Honestly, I agree. One of the most satisfying things you can do with this item is to fuck over a guy with a fucking crits medic living inside of his rectum, right? If you come across, you know, Blaze the demo main, or Gerald the soldier main, or whatever, comp player names are usually like single syllables, so like Days, or Blood, or Edge, or Lemon, or Lime, or whatever fucking like 1 or 2 syllable competitive player names. If they have a medic living in their ass running crits, you can fuck them over hard with this thing. It's fucking great. It's a nice, huge middle finger to that. It's like, haha, fuck you, you can't do shit now, you die. Love it. So much fun. Oh, no, don't worry. I completely agree. Battalions is not as good as the buff banner inside of MVM. I completely agree. Totally. Because extra damage in MVM is way more better than a higher health pool. Because that's the medic's job, right? If you get overheal expert, then you don't have to worry about losing health. Because you just have it. You have it for days. You have it for days. So, yeah. Battalions is fucking great. I love this item. Easily the best item in the game to this day. It's great. Oh, it's not balanced in competitive, guys. Oh, we have to know. It's not balanced in competitive. We have to nerf it. Oh, God forbid. God forbid our sandbox game mode doesn't facilitate the existence of all items in a heavily complex game designed around 9 classes and not 5. 4. Scout, Demo, Soldier, Medic. Sorry. And sometimes Engineer. It's a good item. It's awesome. Use it. If you still haven't tried the Battalion's backup, do it. So fun. So fucking fun. Okay, so that's Battalions. Let's move on to, should I do all the banners now? Do I do all the banners now? Okay, Contra buff banner next. Contra buff banner. Which one do I do next? Let's get the banners out of the way. Let's get the banners out of the way. Contra buff banner. Which one? Conch, buff, conch. Okay, everyone's saying conch. All right, we'll do conch next. Conch is good. Conch is awesome, right? So my beef with the conch, and same thing as my beef with the buff banner, is that the passive bonus it grants is only effective when you're landing your shots with it, right? Health back on hit is very powerful, but again, only if you're able to land your shots. So if your teammates suck, then this thing isn't going to do much to help you. It's going to help you by yourself, keep yourself alive, and, you know, the faster movement speed makes you harder to hit, so it makes you, you know, a bit more of a scary individual player. Yeah, that's probably something else about the conch, too. The conch is the most selfish of banners, because it gives you passive health regen, and its passive benefits are usually the most useful for the soldier by himself, most of the time, right? Because this allows for a soldier to, like, solo in on his own and then just keep firing off rockets while having a higher movement speed, health regen, and health back on hit. This is basically just Mad Milk on crack for the soldier, right? And the thing is, the soldier's got splash damage and not a hit scan weapon, so it's even better than the Mad Milk in that regard. This thing's infinitely better than Mad Milk, actually, because you don't have to throw it at somebody in order to get people wet. You just have to be near other people in order to get health back on hit. So, yeah, there's that too. Ah, yes, and of course, Black Box Conch is a very good combination of items. Yeah, because you get health regen, health back on hit, and then even more health back on hit when you're using the, when you're actually popping the banner. But here's the thing about that, though. The problem with Black Box Conch, so at least from what I noticed, I keep fucking hitting my microphone. Pop filter just needs to go right here. Put you there. Put you right there. Stay there. My problem with pairing the black box with banners is that it kind of forces you into a much more passive role, right? You really have to play with your team. Soldiers can normally overextend and not be too heavily punished for it, but when you're running the black box, you have one less rocket. Yeah, you get maximum 20 health back on hit, but if you're by yourself, you're kind of fucked, usually, because that extra rocket really goes a long way. And even when the banner's active and you're running the black box with this thing, you get a fuckload of health back, but you only have 3 shots, right? Then you have to reload, then you're fucked, you know? I'm not saying that it isn't really fucking strong. I'm not saying that it isn't good, but it's not, like, as insanely powerful as people make it out to be. In my opinion, a much better pair for the black box is the Battalion's backup, like the original Tank Buster set. Because you have health back on kill, right? 3 rockets, and that kind of allows you to stay alive longer, so you have a much higher chance of getting that banner built all the way up. And if you're playing with your team as that kind of support passive player, that's when the Battalion's backup really shines with that black box. If you're trying to pair it with the conch and trying to be this offensive menace, it still holds you back because you only have 3 rockets, right? And that health regen, you know, it's only really good if you haven't taken damage for an extended period of time and you have 4 health per tick instead of 1. So there's that too. It's a blend. Yeah, you got it right. It's kind of like action equals It equals a support soldier, yeah. The conch, black box, and disciplinary action is very much a support soldier. It allows him to overextend a little bit, but if he's not playing with his team, he can get mowed down pretty quickly. Unless he has the banner active, then he can basically run solo and never die. But you could already do that with stock rocket launcher, or even the cow mangler. Cow mangler is really good with any banner. Actually, the cow mangler is amazing with any banner, because you don't have to worry about fucking ammo. Ammo is usually not an issue in, like, normal game modes anyway, because there's usually ammo packs fucking everywhere. But, anyways, but altogether, I would say that the Conjurer is just the weakest of the banners. That's my opinion. It's the weakest of the banners from a support perspective, like if you're playing with your team, because again, that passive bonus is only achieved if your team can aim and land shots. And the amount of health you get back scales with distance, right? Because you have damage fall off. So you're not getting that much health back unless you're already very close to your target. And if you're close to your target, they're going to be able to do more damage to you as well. So there is that trade-off there, because you're still able to offset the damage they do to you by getting health back on your hits. But it's not like insanely good unless you have more players on your team present being affected by that banner than there are present enemy players, right? It's not as powerful as a pushing item as, say, the buff banner or the battalion's backup, because you can still get knocked down pretty easily with it. Yeah, that is true. You do cycle this banner a lot more often because it does take the least amount of damage to charge. Is it 420 or 450? Was it 450 or 420? I never fucking read. It's 400 and something damage. I think it's 450. It's 450. You can cycle it more often. 480? Sorry, 480. My bad. It's 480 damage, so you can cycle it more often. But again, its passive bonuses aren't that impactful unless you're shooting shit. If you're not shooting shit, it's not doing anything for you. If you can't shoot shit, like if someone's too far away from you, especially as a projectile class, and you're not able to do any damage, if your hit scan helps a little bit, projectile class, people are too far away, it's not going to do anything for you. Just to close on this banner, it's the best solo banner option for Soldier, weakest team play option for Soldier out of all three banners, period. That's it. That's it. And so to cycle out the banner saga, I'm gonna put the conch is in B tier, but it's like low to mid B tier. The buff banner it hovers. The buff banner is really good when you have banner. Other than that, it's like it's down here, because this item has no passive buffs to you. So you're not really getting anything in return until you've actually managed to charge up the mini crits to do damage. And because you have no passive buff, but its upsides are really fucking powerful, it kind of evens it out to like a really high B tier. Because when you get the mini crits with this thing, and you're coordinated with your team, fuck. A good buff banner push just fucking, oh god, it fucking sucks. And, whoa. You just die. Like, if the soldier's competent, he's able to hang back with his team. If you're buff bannering a fucking heavy that knows how to aim, god. Wow, it's really fucking strong. But when you don't have banner, you have nothing. That's it. Game over, good push. Yeah, the game's over with a good push with the buff banner, right? That's it. I would definitely say that this is the most powerful defense option for Soldier in terms of his banners, because he doesn't have to worry about overextending to get to people to shoot at in order to deal damage. If he's hanging back with his team playing defensively, he's able to fire off rockets where he knows people are going to be going through, and he's going to be able to build up the damage that way. So then when they make a push, you have that buff banner ready to go, and you can just fucking lay them to waste. Offensively, it's a little bit less effective, because you're having to overextend more, you're having to push in more, it's putting yourself more at risk in order to build that damage, unless you're hanging back with your team in order to not die, in order to stay in your health sources like a medic or health packs or the payload cart. But you're putting yourself more at risk to build that banner, and then you're more likely to die. So, offensively, not as good as something like the battalion's backup, I would say. Because once you get, and also, yeah, and then once you get the buff banner's mini crits, unless you're coordinated with an offensive push, it's not going to do that much. It's going to be really fucking strong. And unless you have like 3 or 4 other competent players that, again, know how to aim, then this isn't going to do anything for you. So, offensively, the battalions is better because you don't have to do any shooting in order to get that passive bonus if you're a person that's being affected by the banner's effects. Person being affected by the banner's effects. Yeah. Battalions is weak to conch. Conch is weak to buff. Banner buffed is weak to battalions backup. I would disagree. I would say that the battalions backup is better than the conch. Like if you were to face off a set of battalions players against the against a group of conch players, so the conch gives you what? It's I forgot how much percentage of health back on hit. Oh, well, it's a certain amount. TF2 Conjurer. I never remember what percentage of health you get back on hit with this thing. I have to look. 480, 35%. Okay, yeah, so they get 35% health back on the damage they deal. But the problem with that is that your damage is scaling with distance. I don't know if that 35% is based off of the base damage of items, or if it actually takes fall off into account. I've not tested that. I should probably do that at some point. That would actually make for an interesting video, right? So for example, that 35% of like a 49 damage rocket is really tiny, right? That's like 6 health. But then 35% of like a 90 damage rocket, that's 30 health. That's a lot more. Whereas with the battalion's backup, it's always reducing damage by the same amount no matter what distance you're at. It's always going to reduce a rocket's shot by the same amount because it reduces it by 35% of the base health. So 35% damage resistance is pretty much always going to be able to beat a 35% health back on hit unless you're at point blank range. Because at point blank range, that 35% damage resistance doesn't do all that much because damage ramp up offsets that a little bit. And then if you have the conch, you're doing more damage so you get more health back. So at really close quarters, conch beats battalions. But at any other range than that, battalions beats conch. That's it. It's calculated after fall off? Okay, so it is calculated after fall off. So it is weaker, like how I just described. So there you go. Boom. I know my shit. There you go. What kind of passive bonus would I put on the buff banner to put on par with the extra HP and regen of the other 2 banners? See, for me, when it comes to like the battalions gives you a bigger health pool, right? With its passive bonus. So therefore, you have a passive higher health pool of 20% of 20 health, right? The Conjurer gives you health regen on hit, so you have passive health regen. The buff banner gives you extra damage, so maybe give the soldier an extra rocket in his clip. You know, bump it from 4 to 5. Bump it from 3 to 4 for the black box, right? That could be interesting. I don't like the idea of giving like a passive damage bonus to rockets. That might be too strong. I'm not sure, but I think an extra rocket in the clip would be pretty cool. Maybe. That might be a step in the right direction. That would require a lot of playtesting, because if you do actually pair it with something like the black box, it might be really fucking strong to have 4 rockets in that. So, might not be a good idea, and yeah, they would have to cap the airstrike at 8 rockets and not 9. And then a 4 clip beggars, ooh. Yeah, perhaps that's not the best idea. No, yeah, a 4 clip beggars would be pretty fucking bad. Okay, yeah, it's probably not the best idea. I don't know. More reserve ammo, but when you're playing the normal game, ammo's not that much of an issue because you have the payload cart, you have engineer dispensers, you have fallen ammo packs. Ammo's only a severe problem whenever you're playing in competitive, right? And you have a lot of people who are firing all the time, scrambling for ammo packs. Whereas in like the normal game, not that often. So, higher random crit chance. No, I don't like that idea. Bad idea. I don't know. But I feel like that extra reserve ammo wouldn't make any difference ever, except in MVM. It would only be beneficial in MVM. Faster reload speed? See, that comes back to the argument I made earlier about having the soldier given a faster reload speed would just make him a more frequent burst damage class. Maybe it would work, maybe that would work for the buff banner, because you would be able to readily identify, hey, this guy is using the buff banner, so I know just by visualization this guy's gonna have a faster reload speed, so he's gonna be able to get a rocket off sooner once he depletes his clip. That, I suppose, would be okay, because at least you have that kind of a visual cue, and then that faster reload speed would only make a significant difference when you're actually close to the guy, because if you be spamming rockets from a distance, a faster reload speed isn't going to matter all that much. But if you're like in a 1v1 with a soldier, and he depletes all of his shots, right, it's like, okay, yeah, I know this guy's fucked, and he's reloading, and then, then he dies, right? But if he's running the buff banner, you can see that he has the buff banner. Oh shit, this guy's going to be able to reload faster, I should be careful, right? Because you're close enough to see he's got the backpack on. So maybe a faster reload speed could work with the buff banner. It could work. Again, it would probably merit testing of some kind. I'm not sure. Damage resistance, no, because then that would just make it, like, the same thing as the battalion's backup. It would just basically have his health pool be higher. So I don't like that idea either. If you were to have faster reload speed on the direct hit, that would suck. Yeah, it would. It would also suck on the beggars, because it would just make him be able to do volleys of rockets faster and rocket jump more frequently, because you can just do, yeah, the beggar's bazooka has a faster default firing rate because you can just do the one-off rockets over and over again. So its DPS is higher if you're landing direct hits all the time, and giving that a faster reload speed. Wow, yeah, that'd be strong too. Yeah, it's hard to say what would be a good passive bonus to give this thing. I don't know. No, increased splash would just make soldier even more. God, imagine soldiers with a higher blast damage. Oh my god. Oh, that'd be really strong. No, I don't like that idea. Giving soldier higher splash damage would be a horrible idea. No. Rocket speed. Rocket speed. Ooh. I kind of like that one. Let me think about that for a minute. No, I don't like that either, because that counteracts the visualization problem that I mentioned earlier, right? Because at a distance, you wouldn't be able to tell what banner the soldier's using, and you have these rockets suddenly coming at you faster, like, why the fuck is this guy able to shoot? Oh, he's got the buff banner. It would be, like, too little too late. So, I don't like... It, in concept, it sounds nice, but would it be fair to other players and fun to fight against? Probably not. And if you have the direct hit, it would just make it, like, really easy to land shots with it too, so... No, I don't like that either. It would bump the direct hit into like broken territory. So I don't know. We can dwell on this more another time. We have more shit to go through here. We have a lot more. I've been streaming for an hour and I've done 4. I have more to go through. We can leave it off as there. The buff banner's good. It's a really good banner. It's like middle of the road between battalions and conch. And again, it's balanced by the fact that it takes a lot of damage to charge, 600, and you have to actually be able to aim in order to make use of those mini crits. If you or your team can't aim, you're fucked. And that's why it's weaker than the battalions, because the battalions' passive bonuses don't require you to land shots. That's it. I do save these streams as VODs. I upload them to YouTube. I edit them and upload them to YouTube. That's the whole point of me doing these streams. That's why I've been doing them. I don't, what do I do with this base jumper? The base jumper, it's just gonna be all the same arguments that I made for Demo Man, in that it's just, it's really bad. It just please give this thing some attention. It just, oh my god. Not to repeat everything that I said in my Demo Man tier list, that they really need to give this thing something that it had previously. The fact they removed the deploy, redeploy on this just made it infinitely weaker. Naya subscribed, thank you. I thought I muted that sound notification, but I guess it didn't go through. You know, it's just the fact that they nerfed the base jumper into the floor, it just completely removed any sort of viability with it. Because this item was originally supposed to be used with the Airstrike. Oh shit. Wow, Naya subbed or gave out 5 gift subs. Thank you. And it's reminding me to, like, go back to Streamlabs and make sure that this is muted.
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch!
Let me log in. Hold on, let me see if I can fix this. Thank you so much for the subs. You are way too kind. Subscriptions. The volume is set all the way down, but it's still nice and loud. Thanks, Streamlabs, for not working for me. Thank you so much for the subs. I really appreciate that. It's too kind of you. Anyways. Base jumper. It's not loud? Interesting, I guess it's still loud for me. Anyways. So... Lazy made a good point about it being changed to be more consistent with TF2's movement philosophy, but it definitely got nerfed too much. See, I disagree. I think this weapon was completely fine. The movement philosophy behind TF2 is that it's run and gun. Except in this thing, you're just hanging in the air, and when you hang in the air, you sacrifice your own significant mobility on the ground and with rocket jumping, especially with Soldier, right? If you're hanging in the air in any capacity, you're a fucking sitting duck to anything that's hit scan or someone that can do a well-placed pipe or rocket on you. You're fucked, right? The turn control this thing used to have was really fucking strong. That was a bit much. The air handling this thing had was a bit strong. They should have, I know they reduced that, which is good, but the fact that you can't gain as much momentum, the fact you can't deploy and redeploy at will, makes this thing so hideously fucking weak that it's just completely useless with any rocket launcher. You cannot use this thing and be effective anymore. And this goes back to what I was saying about the Airstrike. This weapon, this item, was introduced to be paired with the Airstrike because it gives you more airtime in order to, like, volley out all of your rockets. But the problem with the base jumper is that you shoot yourself into the air, your target is here, you were originally here, you were gonna do more damage if you just stayed on the ground and kept the distance between you shorter. But then if you're up here, yeah, it gives you the high ground to shoot back down on people, but then you have damage fall off, so you're just shooting all around weaker rockets, especially with something like the Airstrike, and definitely the Beggars, because Beggars has a smaller blast radius and random spread. So I don't even know why you'd use this with the Beggars in the first place. This weapon is just not, it's just the shadow of its former self, and it just really bums me out that they nerfed it, man. I wish they didn't. It's just a bummer. I don't want to spend too much time on it. If you want my full thoughts on this banner, then go watch my Demo Man tier list. This item still does have a small, tiny, insignificant shred of viability with Soldier, because he has a rocket launcher that doesn't have an arc and it doesn't have a primer time like a sticky bomb launcher does. So if you can volley yourself into the air and not be seen by someone that can just pop you in the air with hit scan, like a sniper, or like a wrangled sentry or a scout, or anyone with a hit scan weapon, or someone with a well-placed rocket or a direct hit, God forbid, you being a sitting duck in the fucking air. Scouts being very weak against this because they have bullet spread and shotguns as well. But still, hit scan knocks you around and fucks up your aim, so there's that too. But if you're hanging in the air and you're not being abated in any way, you can just kind of fire off rockets at people at a distance, yeah, you can do kind of bits of chip damage and do stuff that way. But now the fact that you move so slow in the air with this thing, you can't deploy and redeploy to, like, prevent fall damage, and you still take blast damage with this thing to get yourself up in the air for something that's not nearly as beneficial as just a normal rocket jump with any other secondary, sucks. It just sucks. It's barely viable as a gimmick for Soldier, whereas it's not even viable as a gimmick for Demo Man. It's really unfortunate that they nerfed this thing into the floor. Sucks. It really does suck. How would I balance the parachute? Allow it to be deployed and redeployed at will. Put that back on it. That's what I say. I think, let me double check the nerfs on this thing. How they changed it. I know they reduced air control on it, because the air control before was really fucking strong. TF2 base jumper. I know they reduced air control because you could fucking whip around with it like crazy. It was really strong. Yeah, they reduced the amount of air control and removed the ability to redeploy the parachute. The reduced amount of air control by 50%, I think that was required. Because you could just, you know, whip and loop and lace around and you would be very hard to hit. That I understand. But the deploy and redeploy part was what made the weapon good and what made it fun, right? Being able to hook around a tight corner and being in the air, it's like, oh shit, where'd this guy come from? It was a little iffy, especially on Soldier. On Demo Man, it didn't make a difference because Demo's sticky jumping take a fuckload more self-damage, and they're using sticky bombs in the air. Why would you do that? You're just asking to be fucking killed. On Soldier, yeah, it was a little bit grotesque for a Soldier to have that much air control. Especially with something like the black box, because like if you paired the black box with the old version of this thing, that was really fucking good. Airstrike not so much because of damage fall off, but yeah. And also, yes, hit scan is a thing. Revert it, because even if they have that much air control, you could just have a heavy. You could just have a heavy just fucking at the guy and just completely fuck up his momentum, and then he'd be a sitting duck and die. You could have a scout do like 10 chip damage with one bullet shot out of his pistol and fuck his momentum. Hit scan fucks this thing. And it fucked the air control. Yeah, fuck it. Put the air control back. Make it like a 20% like reduced amount, not 50. Because hit scan fucks this thing over. It made it harder for soldiers and Demoman to hit, but you can still do it. Wheatfields, I've answered this question like 6 times already. I don't delete the VODs. They are unlisted. They're unlisted, and I edit these videos, these streams, and I upload them to YouTube. Exclamation point YouTube, as edited videos. And to my patrons, who want to see the full, uncut streams, you get that on Patreon. So there you go. I don't have a Patreon link. I should probably do that. Probably a smart idea. Would removing the hit scan push make this a good weapon? No, because you still have reduced air control and you can't deploy and redeploy. This weapon just always makes you a sitting duck in the air because you're moving in a predictable straight line, nice and slow. As soon as you undeploy it, you fall and take fall damage. You knock yourself into the air and likely have reduced your health below 150, so guess what can kill you in one shot? Oh, it's sniper and fucking dead. So, yeah. Base jumper is just not good anymore. Put back at least one of its old attributes of either more air control or the ability to redeploy and deploy at will, because without both of those, it just sucks a lot of cock. And it's just not good. It's not fun to play with anymore either. It's not even fun. Again, it's not even fun as a gimmick because you can't do gimmicks with it because you're just a sitting duck in the air and you just die. It sucks. Fuck, I hate that they nerfed this thing. I'm getting mad again, getting pissed. Ugh. Ugh. Mad about the changes they made to this thing. Again, because scouts can't hit people. Yeah, he's soldiers in the air too long. I can't let you. It's fuck. Put it back. Anyways, moving on. Let's do something else. We still have a lot more to go. Stock shovel. Easily the worst melee on Soldier. There's no point in using the stock shovel in comparison to any of its other melee items. Everything else is infinitely more useful. Even on a server with random crits enabled, you're better off using the escape plan because it's the escape plan. Why wouldn't you want to move nearly as fast as a scout if you have less than 50 health so you can bail out and not fucking die? Right? Why wouldn't you use the whip to make your other teammates and yourself go faster at the beginning of a fight? Where you just have your fucking shovel and it's just, that doesn't do anything. In the shadow of all of the other melee items, the stock shovel is the absolute worst. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It doesn't need some kind of a passive bonus. TF2's melee items, stock melee, are all the same, except for Scout's bat and except for the knife. They're all the same. Alright, they all do the same damage, and that's how it should be. And just because it's worse than other melee options doesn't mean it needs some kind of a buff. That's my full, wholehearted belief, but I will still say that in comparison to other melees, it sucks dick. Why would you ever use the stock shovel unless you're doing a stupid meme like, oh look, I killed a guy with a stock shovel, haha, I don't need the market guard, no, I got random quits on my side, and he fucking smack someone's fucking molars out with the edge of it, like, da-da-da-da-da, I got the guy with the dog double. That's all you're using this thing for. Or you just install the game. That's it. You're only using this thing as a joke because, the man with the hat made the video. Da-da-da-da. Fucking, oh my god, enough with the dupe shovel shit. You know what I hate the most? I think one of my biggest pet peeves is when people circle jerk the same stupid, annoying meme over and over again because one YouTuber said it. If that ever happens for me, right? Like, if I ever do something or coin a phrase or something that people incessantly spout at random, you know? Like fucking dupe shovel, demo night TF2, and all the other dumb things that float around and shit like that. If I ever coin a phrase like that, if that ever happens to me, let me know. I'm shutting it down. That's it. It's over. Everything is done. YouTube is done. Twitch is done. The doors are shut. Chains are on it. Don't dead enter inside. Period. That's it. Yeah, XYZ Gaming. Oh my god, put a bullet in my fucking head. I'm so tired of that joke. Fuck. I hate it. It's like, oh my god. It's not funny anymore. It was funny for like 2 seconds. Like, Obama Gaming. Haha, it's Obama playing a video game. Okay, yeah. You get like a chuckle out of it. And then you see it for like the 9,000th time. It's just, oh. It's like hearing the same fucking song on the radio over and over again, right? It's like you're listening to, I don't know, what's a good song? I don't know, give me, like Sweet Child of Mine. Actually, no, that's a shit song, I hate it. What's another good one? Like, give me, like, it's like, yeah, I can't think of a good song. I'll listen to the radio, so I don't know, no, fuck, no, I hate Billie Eilish. No, I hate that music, god. Fuck, what's just like a generic, like, I don't know, like, Jump by Van Halen. You know, like, you're Jump by Van Halen. They play that shit on the radio all the fucking time, right? You listen to it once, like, oh man, I haven't heard this song in a while. I'm gonna listen to it. And it's like, man, this radio station plays good music. I'm gonna leave it on. And then, for the 9th time that day, they play Jump by Van Halen. And you want to rip every hair out of your goddamn head. That's what these fucking repetitive jokes do for me. It's not funny anymore. It was funny the first, maybe the second time. But if you keep saying the same joke over and over and over and over again, it fucking sucks. I don't want to hear it anymore. It's not funny. Like, you have to have, like, brain matter dribbling out of your ear to think that joke is funny anymore. Alright, Demo Man Gaming, and your fucking frontal cortex is dribbling out of your goddamn ear. Fuck. Like someone stuck a power drill up your goddamn ear canal and fucking slurry it about. Like they're faking a fucking mummy. They put the screw up your nose and wiggle it about and pull it out your nostrils. I'm over it. It's enough. Ugh. We're gonna be here a while. I'm going off on tangents upon tangents upon tangents. Jesus. Let's do, I don't know. What do I do next? Let's do Cow Mangler? Yeah, we can do the Cow Mangler. Okay, so yeah, Cow Mangler. Cow Mangler's alright. The Cow Mangler is just good, alright? So, a lot of people consider the Cow Mangler as a direct upgrade to the stock rocket launcher, and I completely disagree with that notion, unless you're playing MVM or unless you're playing 6v6. In any other scenario, the Cow Mangler, in my opinion, is always just a downgrade from any rocket launcher, because one of the soldier's most powerful tactics is to be able to counter an engineer from a distance. You cannot do that with this thing. Right? And people say, oh, but you can disable a building with a charge shot. But yeah, you sacrifice your entire clip for one rocket to disable a building for what, 4 seconds? It's not that big of a trade-off, right? And even then, he can still be actively healing the sentry gun while it's disabled, right? And the only building that you're going to be disabling is a sentry gun. You wouldn't ever use that charge shot on a dispenser or a teleporter unless you're insane. Why would I ever think that the tactic of disabling a sentry gun with a fully charged shot would be more useful than just shooting 2 or 3 rockets at an engineer nest, doing more damage to the gun, the engineer, and his surrounding buildings and teammates more than the Cow Mangler would. It doesn't make sense to me, right? Unless you have your team backing you up, and it's like, okay guys, I disabled the building, you can push in now. And then, yeah, you can do that in like a casual setting, but when does that kind of team coordination ever exist inside of a casual game, unless you're like in a voice call with people? And it's just, I don't understand that. It's, Rescue Ranger cannot affect disabled sentries? Did not know that. Okay, but still, he's still able to repair it. But even then, shooting rockets is infinitely more effective because you're damaging multiple buildings and the engineer and surrounding teammates instead of just the teammates. You know? If someone's not following you up, that charge shot is useless. Congratulations, you've dealt 12 damage to the sentry gun. That's not gonna do anything, right? It's not gonna do shit. Oh, but it doesn't have an ammo penalty. And again, like I've just been saying, it doesn't. Their ammo is rarely an issue inside of the casual setting because there are so many different ammo sources. Fallen ammo packs, the payload cart, engineer dispensers, right? Every time you kill somebody, you get a medium ammo kit back. So ammo's rarely a problem inside of the casual setting. Oh, but you could do, it destroys sticky bombs. Yeah, a charge shot destroys sticky bombs. Why would I ever sacrifice 4 rockets to destroy sticky bombs when I can do that with a shotgun or knock them away with 1 rocket? Oh, but the charge shot sets people on fire and does a mini crit. You can fire off 2 rockets and do more damage than the charge shot can. You could fire all 4 rockets and do twice as damage, or more than twice the amount of damage as fucking 1 charge shot. It's like, there's no adequately justifiable reason to ever use the Cow Mangler as a more viable alternative to any other rocket launcher, unless you're just dicking around, which is fun with the Cow Mangler. It is very satisfying to just vomit off a charge shot and then you just like one-shot a guy. Like, where the fuck did that come from? And then you see a soldier just fucking like jerking off as he's reloading his rocket launcher. That shit's funny. That never gets old for me. I love doing that. That's the only time you're gonna find me using the Cow Mangler, is doing the charge shot bullshit from across the map and just fucking one poor soul over. That's funny. But in any other scenario, it's just not as good as any other rocket launcher. But it's a rocket launcher, so it's still good. Because it's still good against just players like any other just like any other rocket launcher would be, right? Functions the exact same way, except it doesn't deal damage to buildings, and one of the soldier's main roles is to deal with engineers and their buildings. And when you remove that from the soldier, he just becomes all around weaker. That's my problem with it. But then you have 6v6, where engineers never exist, right? So it's never a downgrade in that regard, because you never have buildings to damage, right? It's more powerful spam, because something that absolutely defines 6v6 competitive is endless choke spam, so you never have to worry about ammo in that regard, because then also in 6v6 ammo is more of an issue, so you never have to worry about that. And in the rare instance when you do find an engineer set up on 5 CP last, guess what you have to do? All you have to do is fire off a charge shot and disable the building. You don't even have to destroy it. And usually a lot of last pushes, if there's a good Uber, last less than 4 seconds. So that sentry gun's never gonna have an opportunity to defend that point if you get the charge shot off. That's why it's banned in 6v6. That's it. Because the only time when engineer is present, you can automatically disable the engineer, and therefore he's not there. And also choke spam. That's it. How far should you be for the charge shot to do more damage than 2? No, it won't, because 2 full point-blank shots from... So, like, base damage on the rocket launcher is 90, right? And that's at medium range. So 2 shots is 180. 1 Cow Mangler charge shot is 151 damage at point blank. At point blank, right? Max fall off on a Cow Mangler shot, because it's just a mini crit rocket, is like 121, 122 damage. So the only time you're going to be doing more damage than 2 rockets is when you're inside of someone's hitbox. That's the only time when you're doing more damage than 2 shots. Other than that, it's always weaker than just firing off multiple shots, right? And even if you are inside of someone's hitbox, you're standing still. You're charging up. You can't fucking move. It's like, fuck, I'm charging this thing. Please fire faster. And then you die. It's like, now's the opportunity to use my laser gun. And then you get fucking railed by the people who are still able to walk. No, the charge shot is bad unless you're using it as a joke. But is it fun to use? Yeah. Is it perfectly viable when an engineer is not present? Yeah. But as soon as an engineer is present on the enemy team, stop using it. That's it. That's it. Moving on. That's it. That's all I have to say. That's all I got to say about the Mangler. That's it. Hey, okay. What next? Rocket jumper. Rocket jumper? What? No, let's do it with the melee. Melee? Secondary? Let's do a secondary. Beggars? People really want me to, people are really wanting me to do the beggars. I know that there's a lot of beggars bazooka enthusiasts. There's a lot of beggars bazooka enthusiasts. So let's do the beggars. The beggars bazooka is to the soldier like the loose cannon is to the demo man. When you're just starting out with the beggars bazooka, it's not as good as any other rocket launcher. Because you have to, you know, it takes a long time to get good with this weapon. But once you get good with the beggars, it's scary what you can do. The mobility this thing grants if you pair it with gunboats is fucking nuts. You can chain jumps, you can volley down more than one rocket in the blink of an eye. This thing is really scary if you put a lot of time into it. There is a streamer, I cannot for the life of me remember this guy's name. But I think he only ever played Beggar's Bazooka Soldier with the Market Gardener and the gunboats. And every time he would go live, that's all he would play. And he would only play on Badwater. And he was insane. It was fucking Blind Pyro. That's the guy at Blind Pyro. He's fucking insane with his gun. I don't know if he makes videos or shit, but look at what Blind Pyro can do with the beggars. Once you get to that level with this item, you don't need to use any other rocket launcher because you're already a god at the game. But you have to pump in so much time to get that good with the beggars, man. You gotta do a lot of work to get good with it. Much like the loose cannon, right? The skill curve on the loose cannon and the beggars are super fucking steep. Once you start out, it's like, okay, yeah, I can understand how to use this thing. But once you get past that little hump, it's like, oh, fuck, this is really hard to get good at. And then once you're up here, you're done. Yeah, you're set. This item is very fun to use, and once you get good with it, it's insanely And there's two ways to kind of play with this item, from my experience. The first way is the, you know, God of Soldier way, and that's pairing it with gunboats and either the Escape Plan or the Market Gardener, and you're just only going berserk with, you know, chaining jumps and raining down rockets and doing a whole bunch of other crazy shit with it. That's the epic way to play. The more passive way to play, and the way that I usually play, because I'm not that good at the game, is I usually pair the beggars with either I usually pair with the battalion's backup. The beggars is good with the battalions because you play passively with your team, and, you know, you do a lot of pre-firing, you know, you're loading up before you go around a corner, you unload rockets, you play with your team. It's very good with banners. It's okay with conch, but again, it suffers because you have to actually land shots in order to get health back, so why would I do that with the beggars that has random deviation on its shots? So, not that great. And see, for me, Belquint, I almost never use a shotgun with this thing. Because something that defines shotgun on Soldier is being able to combo it with his primary weapon. And when you have to preload a rocket to then fire it and then swap to a shotgun to get like a full combo out, it's really sluggish and slow. So you have to really catch someone off guard in order to be able to pull that off consistently and effectively. So normally I'm using this thing for just big flurries of burst damage on players that I pretty much know are going to be somewhere, right? And then, as soon as you know a player's there, you have the added upside, and what most people use this weapon for, is you have faster, like, base firing. Like, you can reload and fire a rocket faster than you can with just any other rocket launcher. So you can just fucking, like, fire off rockets more quickly by just loading one and firing it off again, over and over and over and over. It's comparable to, like, the base firing speed of the stock rocket launcher if you just reload and fire one rocket over and over again. And at close range, that smaller blast radius and deviation doesn't make that much of a difference. At longer range, yeah, that variation of spread kind of fucks over your aim a lot, and the splash damage can fuck you over that way, it seems. But yeah, this thing is good. Skill curve is super steep. You can get scary good with it. It's fucking. Let's do it. Let's do blind. Can I find a blind pyro video? Let's find out. Give to pyro. This last video was 3 years ago, man. Watch this guy go fucking nuts, man. This guy is crazy. Once you get to this level, once you get just, yeah, this is when the item's nutty. I know this guy used to stream all the time too, man. This is what I'm talking about. Crazy shit like this. But notice how this guy knows when to preload and fire his rockets, right? He knows what he did 2 rockets like that. He chain jumped off the first one, chain jumped off the second one, came in, got the scout with the fucking Mark Gardner. You have to have a lot of forethought before you actually get good with this thing. You gotta know when to preload, you gotta know when to fire. It takes a lot of practice. And once you get there, once you get that mentality of knowing I gotta load my shit before I shoot it, you get to this guy's level. Fucking crazy shit. That's what I'm talking about with the beggars. But yeah. Beggars is good. Let's move on. Let's move on to this piece of shit. So, yeah, Righteous Bison. Why? Why did they do this poor motherfucker dirty? It's just, oh man, it is so sad that they nerfed the Bison. It was totally fine before. It was like the fun laser gun. There were no problems with this thing. I had so much fun using this. I have a very vivid memory from like 2012. I was playing on like a Skyle Lakeside server. And I managed to convince the entire server everyone was using the Righteous Bison. And we were all just shooting at each other with this thing, and it was just, oh my god, it was so fucking fun. And then Valve said, oh yeah, it was a bug that this thing was meant to penetrate players. Also, we slowed down the projectile speed. What? And then then it sucked, and that was it. They did slow down the projectile speed, right? Righteous Bison. I'm pretty sure they slowed down the projectile speed because it used to be a lot better. I think they tweaked the hitboxes too. Yeah, they reduced the damage at point blank. They improve the fall off damage by a tiny amount, so it only ever does 54 to 14 damage. Or no, sorry, 54 to 24 damage, which is abysmal. They slowed down the projectile speed by 30%. And then they made it have even further reduced damage when it penetrated players. Oh my god, why did they do that? It's so fucking bad now. They could have left the damage the way it is now and not nerf the projectile speed, and then it would have been fine. But it moves so fucking slow. Oh my god. It's useless. It's worse than any shotgun. It's so bad. You can't even, like, unironically have fun with this thing. You can't even, like, gimmick play with it because of, you're just fucking like, bleh. It's like gargle, like, get some like fucking Newtonian fluid or something, like gargle it for a bit and like try to swallow. That's what it's like using the Righteous Bison. You're just fucking like, it won't go down, not getting down, and you just die. That's it. You can't get shots off fast enough. They move too slow. You do no damage. You just fucking die. Oh, but it can still penetrate players, but it does even less damage. So it sucks. And then they buffed it again in 2017 by just giving it more. They buffed its velocity. And then they said, and also projectiles are no longer limited on the number of times they can hit the same target. So they can hit the same target twice, but it's only effective when it's backing up. So they increased the projectile speed, made it hit players multiple times, which means that it's not gonna hit players multiple times because it has a faster projectile speed unless they're backing up. And it's still painfully slow. Yeah, and they didn't fix it properly. It was totally fine. And just, oh my god, I want them to put it back. Just put it back. The old version was fun. It was fine. It had comparable damage output to a stock shotgun. It had no combo viability with any rocket launcher. It was just a fun, like, little, like, okay, out of rockets, fuck it, laser gun time. Oh my god, I'm so sad they nerfed this thing. Put it back. Because now it's used. Oh, here's the thing. It's not like broken. It is broken. It is broken. Just fucking put you down here. Yeah, you're rework this thing. Make the righteous Bison great again. Can we get little hats for that too? We get some like nice little red hats saying make the righteous Bison great again. Or perhaps like the genuine green color. Because people like the strange genuine versions. Just like, come on. Bring it back, baby. Put it back to where it needs to be. It's just such a bummer. It sucks now. It just sucks. Put it back. Okay, so that's the Righteous Bison. What next? Let's get a melee out of the way. Let's do Pain Train. I mean, the Pain Train works on Soldier, but it's not that great because, one, Soldier is slow, so if he's suddenly pitted in a fight against the hit scan class, that 10% damage penalty against bullets is going to be really impactful against him, so it's going to hurt him a lot more often than it would, say, a demo man, who could run a shield and get out of the effective range of a hit scan class and be totally fine. The only instance where I can see this item being, like, super useful is, like, bombing into a payload cart that's right on the edge of the bomb pit, or, like, right onto a last point that's almost capped, and then you have this thing out and you cap it twice as fast. Yeah, I could see that working, but as it stands now, it's just not that good on Soldier, because you can't pair it with the shield, and you're slow. So it's not as viable as it would be on, say, the Demo Man. That's my thing with this thing. The 10% damage should only be when using it. See, I disagree, because I disagree. The 10% damage vulnerability to be bullets should be active all the time, because your double capping speed is also always active all the time. The item doesn't need to be out in order for you to cap twice as fast. So if they were to actually make that change, the double capping time would only be active when the item is active. Therefore, then that damage penalty should be active. That might actually be a better change to it. Change the Pain Train so its double capping speed is only active when the weapon is active, and the damage penalty is also only active when the weapon is active. That would actually be not bad. That wouldn't be a bad change, actually. I'm kind of an advocate for that. Make that happen. I think that would make this weapon get a lot more use. Because you can actually strategize with it, instead of, like, being punished, like, oh, fuck, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go cap now, but even though I don't have it out, I'm gonna die, right? So I think that'd be good. That would actually be good, right? Because when you have this thing equipped, you have the double capping speed, but you're still able to, like, fully defend the point with your weapons, right? You can still, like, knock people away with a rocket, with a rocket launcher or a shotgun and, like, push them out of the way. It's like, okay, they can't kill me because I'm keeping them at a distance, or I can spam where I know they're going to be coming from, so they can't get close enough to me to deal that extra damage, or have the extra damage vulnerability make a significant difference, you know? So force them to have it out, and make that double capping active, and that forces them to strategize with it and only use it when they know they can securely get that cap. That's a good, that's good, actually. That works for this item. Yes. I like that idea. Fund it. Make it happen. Right now, Just not that good on Soldier. Not that good because unless you're doing like I just said, unless you manage to get to a point that's completely empty and no one's around and you're able to keep people who are already at a distance at bay with your rockets, then you're going to get fucked over. Because you're too slow, you're not able to evade, you're not able to take good evasive action, especially if you're at full health, you're not running gunboats or something, you know, and you have a shotgun clip, you can't rocket jump away without taking away like 50% or 25% of your health, so, or doing like 50 self-damage, 25% of your base health, yeah, so, not that good on stock Soldier, on Soldier, but on Demo Man, markedly better, that's why I had it high, that's why I had it more highly rated for Demo Man and not for Soldier, so, yeah. There you go. That is the Pain Train. Scouts fuck you up. Yeah, Scouts fucking rail you when you have this thing, so. The Whip, yeah, the Whip is easily, I would say, one of the best melee options for Soldier right now. If you're not running the Market Gardener, you're basically, or if you're not running the Escape Plan or the Market Gardener because you're good with the Market Gardener, you're using the Whip. Because the speed bonus that this thing grants you is invaluable whenever you're playing with your team, right? Being able to get to the fight faster is an infinite advantage you can have over the enemy team. That's why teleporters are so effective, right? The faster you can get your teammates to a fight, the more likely you can either defend or attack and win. And this thing is insanely good at doing that, especially for classes that are slower, right? You know, Demomen, Heavies, other soldiers, it is easily one of the most versatile and widely used weapons for the Soldier because it's just so fucking good. It's insanely good. It is really influential. It's crazy how much influence you can have with just this melee item with your team. Getting your whole fucking team out there to the fight faster is wild. Especially with a Heavy. And that's why it's also banned in 6s, because if one team's using it, the other team's at an automatic disadvantage and they're forced to use it. So this ban makes sense in 6s. And also other forms of competitive. So that's fair. And so yeah, the disciplinary action doesn't just make Heavy get to mid faster, it makes all classes get to mid faster. Right? At no sacrifice to the Soldier or any of the other classes, because what Soldier in competitive mode is actively using is melee. Unless he's using the Escape Plan to get out of a fight, or if he's using the Market Gardener to get a one-hit kill because he can actually secure it. Inside of competitive mode, this thing's broken. Inside of casual mode, it's almost broken. It's super fucking good. Not to mention, like I saw someone mention, it has really janky hitboxes, so you don't even have to be close to somebody, and you can hit people behind you with it. So, yeah, the reduced damage on this thing, I don't think is enough. It should be like a 50%. This thing should do no damage. It's just a tool. No one's using this for damage output anyway, so just make it do no damage. People are only using it to get to mid or to a fight faster. Give it like a 50% damage penalty. Then this thing would still be used. It would still be good. So it's just one of the best melee items. What if Soldier's marked for death? No, that's not good. No, he would just, then there'd be no point in using this item ever, because as soon as you whip it out, in order to move faster, you die, right? It's like, and it works better for something like the Escape Plan. I'll put that up here too. Escape Plan is better than the disciplinary action, because the mini crits on this thing make it balanced, because you're only pulling this thing out when you yourself need to get the fuck out, right? And you're using it to run as fast as a scout to not die. And the trade-off for that is that you can't use any weapons to defend yourself, and you take mini crits, so you're already gonna die anyway, so you die faster. But if you miraculously survive and not get hit, then that's the reward. Unlike the disciplinary action, where it's not that insanely high of a speed boost. It's a good speed boost, but not nearly as high as it is with the Escape Plan, where you're like moving nearly as fast as a scout when you're below like 50 health, and then you need to get out of a fight. Usually fights that you've just won, right? Like you just want to fight, you're on low health, you need to back out to a health kit, you whip out the Escape Plan, you fucking vamoose, and you're fine. You're never whipping out the Escape Plan if you're losing a fight, and if you are, you're just guaranteed to die. Unless you can actually juke out the person that you're losing to, like another soldier, like, okay, he just ran out of all, he's out of rockets, I'm out of rockets, I'm out of health disadvantage, I'm fucking bailing out, and then you can whip it out. But if you're losing a fight against a scout, and you whip out this thing, you're fucking dead, right? You whip it out against a heavy, or a demo, or someone that you just lost a fight to, you're fucking dead. You're whipping out this thing when you know you can get out faster to get to a health kit and you don't die, right? So. But in that regard, this is probably the best melee item for Soldier. The escape plan is the best melee item for Soldier, hands down. Just because of how insanely powerful it is for a Soldier to have faster movement speed at low health to get to a health kit. It's stupid strong. Actually, I'm going to bump the whip up higher because it's still kind of... It still dangerously treads on broken territory. And for that, I'm going to actually put it at the top of A tier. This weapon dangerously treads in on broken territory because of how influential and good it is. This is the best melee in terms of Soldier, and it's fairly well balanced, right? You can't get healed when you have it out. You can only get health from health packs, so a medic can't be pocketing the guy or hit him with an arrow. You can't get healed from arrows, can you? Yeah. The only thing, and yeah, you bring up a good point, is this thing should either have a damage nerf or it shouldn't have random crits. The fact you can move at Mach 9 and still smack someone with a random crit is fucking stupid. Don't let it do that. Remove random crits on this thing. Otherwise, it's not only is it like a get-out-of-jail-free card once you've won a fight and the rest of the team is coming, if you happen to come across anybody else, you're moving as fast as Scout and they just go whoop and just, you know, clock someone in the skull and they're dead. That's not okay. Don't let this thing have random crits. Maybe give it a damage penalty. I don't know if it needs a damage penalty, but don't let it do random crits. That's just me. Yeah, exactly. Being marked for death doesn't even count when you are at about 20 to 20, like 20, if you're at like 20 to 30% of your health, being marked for death doesn't matter because you're just gonna die to whatever hits you anyway, for the most part. Unless it's something that's like a really far off chip damage shot from like a pistol or a revolver or something that's low damage at further distance, right? But if it's like a pipe or a sticky or a max distance rocket or like a heavy chipping at you, yeah, you're fucking dead, right? So, get rid of random crits on this thing. Don't think it needs a damage penalty, but yeah, easily just the most useful Soldier melee, hands down. It's just really good. Yeah, yeah, I guess so. A damage penalty would be good because it does force you to escape with it instead of like using it as like an offense option. Because that's the thing too, right? You can say, okay, I just lost this fight. You know, I can either bail out or I can start running as fast as a Scout now and get a random crit and win. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. Force the person to escape with it and not suddenly engage in a 1v1 melee where you've just dealt potentially a bunch of damage with your rockets and then you can finish it off and go boop and then win the fight and then maybe clock someone else on the way out. Yeah, maybe give it a damage penalty too. Yeah, give it the damage penalty that the current disciplinary action has to where it only does like 49 damage per swing. Then I think it's in a better spot. And then remove random crits on it. Then it's good. Then it's the escape tool and not the sudden last resort, fuck it, I'm gonna smack someone with a random crit tool while also moving insanely fast. So there you go. Deploy slower? Nah, I don't think it needs to be deployed any slower. I think it's alright as is with deploy time. Okay, Equalizer. I mean, it's just not great. It's not good either. The weapon's not broken. It does what it's supposed to do. But it's just really underwhelming in comparison to all of the better melee options in the game, right? You can use it how you're not... You can use it how you're supposed to. Like if you're at low health and you say, fuck it, I'm gonna die anyway. I'm gonna whip this thing out and do over 100 damage on some guy and just smack him with it. Yeah, you can do that, right? You know, yeah, you're right. If you suddenly find yourself in like a melee 1v1, yeah, you can do that too. So, you use it for farming crits at the rocket jumper. Yeah, you're either using this as like your last resort ditch weapon to like say, fuck it, I'm low on health. If I manage to land a swing on this guy, he might die because I chewed out half his health or more. Or if you get a random crit at low health, it's a one-shot kill on everything. If they're not overhealed. And then it's just always weaker if you have more than like, what is it, like 60% of your health? I don't remember like the exact amount of health you have to have before this thing is better than stock in terms of damage. I think it's below 100 health is where it's better than stock damage, or like 90 or something like that. But aside from that, it's just underwhelming. It's just not great. It's not that great. You can use it as advertised, but, and again, just because it's worse than the other options for Soldier, like the stock shovel, it doesn't mean that it needs to be reworked or given some kind of a buff. It has its own little nice niche, you know, it has its own little, like, very situational use, kind of like the Cleaner's Carbine or other weapons like that. So, I think it's okay. You don't need to change it. You can fuck around with it. You can try to use it and do something with it. It's just, but it's not great. Don't really know what else to say about it, you know? Also, VGA to HDMI has given out a, no, sorry, Gold Pika gifted a 1-month sub to VGA to HDMI. Thank you, sir. You are too kind. It's great against vac medics, but yeah, you're having to wail on a vaccinator medic who's likely healing somebody who's gonna shoot you, right? You know, if the guy shooting you doesn't kill you fast enough, then yeah, you might be able to two-shot the medic with your melee, but you're having to engage a medic combo at point-blank range, you're probably gonna die. If the medic's caught out by himself, alone, you're not getting damaged by anybody to do more damage with the Equalizer to kill him any faster. So, at that point, just use the escape plan, or the whip, or the Market Gardener, or the Half Satoichi, which we can talk about next. It's also kind of in this territory. Not that great against the Vac Medic. So, yeah, and why go Equalizer Soldier against the Vaccinator Medic when you can either run Spy or Demo Knight and have a guaranteed crit on demand and kill him? Or third degree, with random crits enabled. Otherwise, not that great. So, there's that too. Okay, so the fucking Half Satoichi on Soldier was only good when random crits were enabled on this thing. Ever since they removed random crits on this weapon, it's just not that good on Soldier. It's infinitely better on Demo because Demo Knight. On Soldier, this is again like a last-ditch, fuck it, whipping this out, probably gonna die, can't put it away now unless I damage myself, or I have low enough health where I can't even put it away. If I manage to get a kill off with this thing, I don't die. And then you're good. Otherwise, use any other melee option. Medieval mode? But what about medieval mode? I guess for the Equalizer. But why would you play medieval mode Soldier? I don't understand why you would do that. The Half Satoichi is more fun in medieval mode than the Equalizer is, I would say. Oh no, I completely agree. The old Half Satoichi with fucking random crits, that shit was broken because you can just get all your health back. It's like whoop, one-shot kill, and I get all my health back. Fuck it. There was zero risk in using the old Half Satoichi on Soldier because you can just whip this motherfucker out like, okay, not gonna die, and then you just one-shot a guy and you get your health back and they die. Now, you can't one-shot people, so you're taking damage as you wail on them with the sword, and you're still likely gonna die. But random crits on it? Nope. Nope, that was busted. Really broken. Glad they removed random crits on it, because Jesus Christ. So, yeah. Yeah, the old soldiers could, you know, pop them into the air with a rocket and then whack them with a sword, or any class with a random crit. I guess you could still try to do that, but unless you really know that you can secure a kill, I wouldn't try doing that on a scout. If you do it on a scout, they're probably going to squirrel away and kill you. So, no. Not now. Not now on scouts. Other light classes, maybe, but not quite. Give it a power jack speed boost? No. Giving a soldier an on-demand speed boost would be really fucking strong, because the soldier's balanced by his slow speed, so him being able to move faster and cover ground more quickly at no real strong penalty, like a rocket jump forces you to do, and you get more distance with rocket jumps usually at a more fair trade-off of having to sacrifice one shot in your clip and health in order to do it. Whereas with the Half Satoichi, you just pull it out and you can just put it away if you know you're close to a health kit or you have a medic healing you. Not a good idea. No. So yeah, Half Satoichi firmly placed in D tier. I would say you could probably make an argument that it's more effective. Yeah, it's probably more effective than the Equalizer because it's always doing the same thing. So, Nah, it's D tier. It's high D tier for this Zatoichi. Yeah, and yeah, giving it a speed boost to make it way more strong for Demo Knight, that's a bad idea. No. If it was a soldier only bonus, yeah, it could work. Does the soldier get extra range with the half Zatoichi? I don't know if he does. I'm not sure. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, what next? Let's get the rocket jumper out of the way. I don't know. Rocket jumper's cool. I mean, you can meme with it. You can do Trollger. Trollger's a thing. You know, if you're good at rocket jumping and you're good with the Market Gardener, yeah, you can smack people left and right with it and go crazy, but if you're trying to do it in any serious capacity, like if you're trying to play the game in any like real viable way, then this is just not what you're supposed to use. If you're just dicking around on like High Tower or something, or if you're just going for Market Gardener kills and you're using like a shotgun or the, you know, the man treads, then yeah, this thing's fun. It's fun. This is just the fun, wacky item, right? There is no viable loadout you can make with this thing unless you've poured an insane amount of time into something like Trollger with a shotgun. And yeah, you can do some cool shit with it. You can do a lot of flashy kills with it. But beyond that, it's the rocket jumper. That's it. That's it. Not much else to say about the rocket jumper, really. You know, if you get good at rocket jumping, period, you can do crazy shit with any rocket launcher. This one's just the one you're using if you're playing with the Market Gardener, which I guess we can do next. Market Gardener is very fucking good. Like, I would consider the Market Gardener's like bottom of A tier. Having a crit on demand is insanely good, period, inside of Team Fortress 2. And the way you earn the crit with the Market Gardener, I think is very well balanced, because you sacrifice health, you sacrifice one shot in your clip, and you sacrifice not being able to use a high damage primary weapon with splash damage in order to secure a kill. You have to know that you're gonna get that melee hit on the guy, and you have to time it perfectly while you're in the air, otherwise you swing, you miss, or the crit doesn't register, and then you have a slower firing speed on it, and then you have to go back to your primary, and then you die or take a lot of damage as a result for nothing. So, yeah. But other than that, Market Gardener is insanely good. Again, if you get practice with this item, it pushes on broken. And the old version of this item that didn't have the swing speed penalty on it was a little busted, because if you miss your first swing and you got like the base damage on it, you can immediately follow up with another full damage swing and still probably kill the guy, especially if it was a light class. But now that slower swing speed really punishes a soldier if he misses that first swing, and that's exactly what it needed. So, yeah. Market Gardener is the balls deep weapon. If you fuck up, you're fucked, and you die. I agree. And it's also insanely fun to use. It's very much a high skill, high risk, high reward item, for sure. You gotta be good at rocket jumping, you gotta be good at the timing with it, you gotta put a lot of risk into killing somebody, or rather getting yourself close to the person you want to kill in order to get a swing off, and if you fuck up, you die. Yeah. So, easily one of the most fun and most interesting melees for Soldier. It's a lot of fun to use. So, that's what I think. Oh, lots of goofy emails here. Trying to get a Market Gardener is kind of like trying to get a backstab. Yeah, I could agree to the frustration of that, because, you know, melee hit reg is a bit janky, so I get that. Okay, that takes care of all the melees, so let's do the stock rocket launcher, I guess. So stock rocket launcher is easily just just your go-to option. It's the best out of all of its primaries. You know what it's gonna do. It's your bread and butter, just really good rocket launcher. It's what else is there to say, right? One thing that I'm still kind of mixed on about a recent, or I should say, recent changes to the rocket launcher, is that they made it so the projectiles don't pass through teammates beyond close range, which I guess is what it needed, so you can't spam rockets through your team to, you know, hit people that you didn't even see. So, yeah, that was probably a necessary change, given that soldier spam tends to be insanely powerful, especially on groups of players, so that tweak to all rocket launchers was definitely needed, but it can be kind of frustrating sometimes, right? Like if you know, like if you've lined up a shot, right, and you know you can hit a guy, but then suddenly one of your teammates walks in front of you, and then it just blocks your shot, I get pissed. I get fucking mad, right? Because the minimum distance at which that happens isn't that far away. And at that kind of that range of closer areas where that blocking happens, that area is like the frustration zone. Like that area pisses me off. It's like, fuck, I should have hit that, but my fucking scout just jumped in front of my rocket and I missed it, and then you die. I hate when that shit happens. But at like far range, further off, you're just spamming rockets into like a team fight, yeah, it shouldn't be able to pass to your own teammates and then deal damage. So I think that change for those scenarios was fine. But at the closer ranges when it happens, when you know you can secure a hit, it can be frustrating. But then again, how often does it happen unless you're in like a big cluster of a team fight, right? If you're kind of in a 1v1, it's never a big issue. If you're in like a big team fight with your own team, you're probably not that far away from the other team, and if you are far away, you're kind of up in front because you're the main damage dealer. It only becomes a problem if other people get out in front of you, like scouts and who block your shots, or other soldiers that like bomb in front of you. Yeah, I get that. But I think that change is okay. Beyond that, hey, it's the good old reliable bread and butter stock rocket launcher. You're gonna be the most effective with this thing in comparison to any other rocket launcher, unless you get stupid good with the beggars. Every other rocket launcher, in my opinion, just pales in comparison. Stock is the best and pretty much will always be the best unless they make some kind of detrimental change to it. That's it. Would I rank the original the same as the stock, or would I say the rockets coming out of the middle thing would move it up or down? I don't know. I really only ever kind of akin that to personal preference. I don't think it gives any kind of advantage, despite what I hear people say. Having rockets come out of the middle of your screen instead of at the side, I don't understand like why people think that gives you some kind of benefit. Like if it makes aiming easier or rocket jumping easier. All my time using the original, it doesn't really make that much of a difference, I've noticed, and I much prefer having skins on a rocket launcher, so I just use stock anyway. So I don't see a big deal. That's about it. It's not like you have some serious advantage or disadvantage if you use one over the other. It's just a matter of preference, really. So that's it. Let's do the gunboats next. Gunboats are stupid good. Note how we have the stereotypical competitive soldier loadout nicely lined up in the row up here in A tier. Gunboats are stupid good. It's one of the soldier's best secondary items in the game. A more mobile soldier is stupid scary good to use. You can't beat it. Stock gunboats and like a good melee is just really effective. It's powerful. It's strong. And that's it. What else is there more to say? A highly mobile soldier who can rocket jump and not chew out all of his health, who can bomb in and be more mobile, pick his fights, zip around, all that jazz. Man. Easily just one of the best items for soldier. I've heard some people kind of call for nerfs to the item. I don't know. Sacrificing a damage dealing secondary or a banner is pretty heavy because of how influential a banner can be and how powerful a secondary can be sometimes if you're comboing it with a rocket launcher, right? So, oh dude, I wish there were strange gunboats. Yeah, I don't know what you would like put on them, like damage blocked, or I don't know what kind of counter you could put on it. But yeah, personally for me, if I like my own personal preference, I more or less much prefer banners or a shotgun over gunboats, because being highly mobile is very good and very powerful, but I find myself to be a far more effective team player whenever I'm using a shotgun or gunboats. If you're playing solo, Like if you're the guy that likes to overextend and kind of do, and you know, pick your own fights, do 1v1s and shit like that. If you're like a lone wolf soldier kind of player, gunboats are your go-to item. If you're playing with your team, playing with your medic, always use a banner, always use a shotgun. Shotgun soldier is just hideously underrated. It's like really hideously underrated. You talk like a comp player, but you hate comp. You're just, no, I'm not. I do not like the way competitive forces players to play the game. They're completely different ways to play TF2. I'm talking about this purely from a casual standpoint. Hands down. Own rockets that make you go further than a certain height? I don't understand the question. You will have to elaborate. I don't understand. Speaking of I was gonna do the shotgun next. Shotgun is the stock shotgun is just good, right? I'm not gonna put it in A tier because of how powerful the gunboats can be and how powerful other banners can be. But I would say that, like, I would consider these three banners, the Conjurer, the stock shotgun, and no, actually no, I'm gonna put it at top of B tier. I would say that this shotgun is better than both of these banners. But only by, like, just a really, really small amount. Like a really, very, very small amount. Combo soldier with a shotgun is good. It's, again, stock shotgun on any class that has it is just old reliable. You know how much damage it's going to do. You understand its bullet spread. You understand what you got to do to make it good. You know what you got. You know what you got to work with it. You know, it's just all around nice, versatile. It's a good follow-up item. If you're caught out against a pyro, you can whip it out. You know, it's... What else can I say? It's just really, it's just a solid item. It's a really solid item. NG, Soldier, Pyro, Heavy, that's the shotgun tier list for the classes. No, I disagree. I would say that it's Soldier, Pyro, NG, Heavy. Shotgun is useless on Heavy. Engineer, it's marginally useful, but his other shotgun options are way better. Pyro, shotgun is just always good because of Pyro v Pyro. Gives you that advantage. And, you know, on a faster, higher health class compared to the Engineer, you know, higher health compared to, it's the same base speed, but, you know, higher health and Engineer, better. And also comboing it with your air blast is just good on Pyro. And then comboing it by being able to pop people in the air with the rocket and then whipping out that shotgun is just the classic bread and butter fucking good tactic to use. Hands down. It is indeed amazing for finishing off your opponents. And that's why I gotta put the reserve shooter as higher than the stock shotgun. And I firmly believe this. Because as a finisher weapon, the reserve shooter is infinitely better than the stock shotgun. There is no real detriment to using the reserve shooter over the stock shotgun. Because if you can secure your hit, then you don't need to worry about having 2 less shots, right? Having those 2 fewer shots only makes a significant difference if you end up being in like a long, drawn-out fight, right? That's my opinion. Like, if you're cut out in a long, drawn-out fight, then yeah, you're kind of fucked with this thing because you don't have 2 extra shots to work with. But if you've already managed to juice out 4 shots and you miss all of them anyway, then you deserve to die. So... But the reserve shooter on Soldier is stupid fucking good. It's a infinitely more powerful combo weapon than the panic attack or the stock shotgun. To the point where I think it might need some kind of a tweak. The high GPS balance mod thinks that it does need some kind of a tweak, and I disagree. I think that the trade-off of not being able to handle a more drawn-out fight and having to reload this thing more often is a fair exchange for, you know, having the mini crits on airborne targets. That you have to first pop into the air with a rocket in order to make use of it. So if I were to kind of make a couple of tweaks to it, if I were to make some tweaks to the reserve shooter, I would say bring it down to 3 shots. I don't know. The difference between 3 and 4 shots doesn't make that much of a difference if you manage to secure that hit on your target. I would say... shit, I lost my thought as to what I was going to say a good change for it would be. Fuck, what was I going to say? Damn it. Oh, I had a really good idea as to how to change this thing, and I just completely lost it. Fuck. What was I going to say? Shit. Come on, Josh, what was I thinking about? Fuck. Oh, it's going to bother me that I can't... Oh, I remember now. So, a while back... they made a change to the reserve shooter that before, you had a very short amount of time, a very small time window, in which the mini crits were active on the target that just got popped into the air. They increased that time window. So now when you pop someone into the air, you have a pretty significant amount of time to land multiple mini crit shots on the same target. That's when this thing can be kind of broken. Because if you pop someone into the air high enough, and they're a high health class, you can pump 2 mini crit shotgun shots into them, and then they die. And they can't really do anything about it because they just got popped into the air by a rocket. So I think a more comfortable change with this thing would be to reduce that time window back down to be much shorter. So that faster switching speed does reward you for comboing, but if you fuck up that first shot, you don't deserve the mini crit. That's what they should do. And then keep the smaller clip size. Having be able to do that double mini crit, because you have that longer time window with having to pop someone in the air to have those mini crits active, having that pushes this weapon to be the best shotgun for Soldier. Reduce that time window, you've properly balanced this item. That's what I think. Like the Market Gardener. You missed that first swing, you should be back at that disadvantage. That's what I say. So yeah. Yeah, and Reserve Shooter completely nerfs the parachute. And see, I don't like that. I don't like that other players' explosive jumps count as mini crits for your shotgun. It shouldn't do that. They should remove that as well. The mini crits should only count for rockets that you've used that have popped people into the air. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be any explosive jumping. It should just be restricted to your target and not other people that are rocket jumping. You should not have the ability to punish other people who've just rocket jumped of their own volition. That's not fair. Which is a change that I think should be applied also to the direct hit. So the direct hit's up here. It's like around here. The direct hit is very good. And for the most part, it's a very balanced item, right? You exchange faster rockets and higher damage for effectively no blast radius. So you become an insanely effective single target demolition guy where you can focus down one guy and be really good at it. You can pop people into the air and combo them with a mini crit. But where this weapon kind of starts to get fucked is when you can pick out other people who have gone airborne via other explosive jumps that weren't yours. You know? And air shotting with this thing is really satisfying. But the comboing ability with it is like what it's supposed to do. But then punishing other people for jumping at you just because they're airborne is like, whoa, it's a little too strong, you know? Because you're doing 151 to, or not, well, you're doing like 173 to somebody. It's really fucking, or more depending on how close they are to you. I feel it's meant to keep people more grounded, especially for pyro. Also, fall off and bullet spread can still kind of fuck you. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, direct hit punishing jumpers is also very satisfying. And punishing other people for jumping is, I don't know. I personally don't like it, but whenever I find myself getting killed by a direct hit soldier because I rocket jumped, they kind of deserve the hit because they managed to land a direct hit on somebody who's in the air, right? It's that nice, it just gently resides in that little cup of like skill and being overpowered, right? Kind of like where Sniper resides, right? Sniper kind of spills out more often than the direct hit does, right? Because with the direct hit, it's a projectile, you have to lead your shots, you gotta, you know, predict where they're gonna go and actually manage to land the shot. Whereas with Sniper, it's across the map hit scan where people don't have any time to react. But with a direct hit, right? If you can't place a projectile shot and land the direct hit, you just miss and do no damage at all. So, I don't know. I think this weapon does sometimes tread in on broken needs a nerf territory, but I don't think I can come up with an eloquent enough solution to bump it back down to where it needs to be. So, I don't know. The direct hit is the perfect weapon that uses mini crits to reward someone if you ask me. Yeah, I would say that it's easily the closest item, like the Market Gardener, that rewards players with extra damage by being good at the game, right? By like being able to do something that is normally very difficult to do. That is at high risk to themselves in exchange for other things that they are normally able to do, right? For example, the Market Gardener. You have to be inside of someone's hitbox in order to land the melee swing. You have to rocket jump to do it to sacrifice health. And if you miss that swing, you're fucking dead. With a direct hit, you have to either get someone airborne with the first shot to then follow up with the second shot to get the mini crit, or you have to time your shot just right on someone who has jumped to where you can't easily predict where they're gonna go, and then you fire off that shot and get that mini crit. In those regards, it's very much balanced to have that skill versus reward item, and again, unlike the sniper, who doesn't have to sacrifice anything if he misses a shot. Direct hit needs a nerf in terms of fighting buildings. It made sense when it first came out because people sucked at fighting sentries. These days, it's too good. Change the universal damage boost to be against players only. You know what? I can kind of agree with that, because general soldier spam against engineer nests is very good. And the faster projectile speed against a sentry nest is also very good, because it's just an increase in DPS against the sentry gun, right? So it wouldn't be the worst change. It wouldn't be the worst, but I'm not a fan of it because here's why. Actually, yeah, you know what? I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that idea. Here's why. Because a soldier is only useful against an engineer if he can see him when he's using the direct hit. If the soldier isn't if the engineer isn't in the soldier's line of sight, right? If the engineer is not in the soldier's line of sight, if his buildings aren't in his line of sight, the direct hit is useless. It can do nothing, right? Unlike a rocket launcher, where you don't even have to have the target visible, because splash damage can make up for that lack of direct hit. And you can fire off 2 or 3 rockets and still take down the building that way. So actually, I was having this discussion with Cosmic Afro not too long ago, because Cosmic Afro initially thought that the direct hit was a really powerful upgrade in terms of, you know, it being super strong against engineers. But most of the time, the stock rocket launcher is going to be infinitely better against engineers because you have splash damage, right? You can shoot a wall, you can shoot the ground, you can shoot a ceiling if he's in an enclosed area, right? You work off so much damage from splash that's not just hitting the building, it's hitting the engineer, his other buildings, and the sentry gun all at the same time to where he can't keep up, and then he's going to fucking die, right? An engineer is more readily able to protect himself and his buildings against a direct hit soldier because that direct hit rocket is only hitting one thing at a time. And if it's not the engineer, then it's more than likely, and if he's actively healing it, that building's not going to go down, right? If it's in like a 1v1 scenario where the soldier's way off in the distance and the engineer eventually runs out of metal, then yeah, the sentry gun's going to go down. But if we're talking about like a normal team playing fight, where the engineer is likely to have other teammates around him protecting him, then the direct hit is going to be like the weaker option because it's not doing enough damage with its lack of splash. So despite the fact that it can two-shot any building, I still consider it infinitely weaker because you're not hitting multiple targets at the same time. There you go. So in terms of the damage bonus it has against buildings, I think it's fine. Because all of that extra damage is being focused into one target instead of being spread out against multiple targets. Think about it this way. You've done... Yeah, think about it this way, right? So the stock rocket launcher does 90 damage, right? The stock rocket launcher does 90 damage, and then a single base damage rocket from the direct hit only does 112. It's 112 damage with a direct hit shot. That's only, what, 22 more damage? Right? You're going to be doing more than 22 damage with the splash on the multiple targets from a single rocket. Even if you land a direct hit on that sentry, that splash is going to affect other targets. And do more than 22 damage depending on how close they are. And if you can't land a direct hit, you shoot the ground or the wall and still make up for that lack of damage. Right? Yeah, 112 is just the perfect thing for the 216 HP building. Yeah. So I think the direct hit against engineers is totally fine. Because you sacrifice being able to take down the engineer and all of his buildings in 3 shots for being able to take down 1 building in 2 shots. There you go. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Oh, but it one-shots minis though. Okay, so what? It's a fucking mini sentry. Who cares? He builds another one in 2 seconds anyway. So yeah, direct hit is... I think we can conclusively say that despite how frustrating this weapon can be, like if you're playing Scout and you're like inside the soldier's hitbox and he one-shots you, you die immediately. I can understand that frustration, but anything that screws over Scout, which I consider to be the 2nd most powerful class in the game next to Sniper, I think that's fine. Fuck Scouts. So, yeah, I think after just mulling over it for a little bit, I would consider the direct hit to be fairly well balanced. It's not overpowered. You know, good skill, risk, reward item. I think it's where it needs to be. I think it's aight. Leave it as is. It's also infinitely weaker spam because if you miss and you get no damage, and whereas like spam on splashes or splash from spam is really fucking good, so you also miss out on that as well. So, moving on, let's do the man treads. So, yeah, I would say that man treads are C tier in that they're useful. Man treads are useful. They're good. Like, if you want to be able to have that higher turn control while bombing in on, like, a target of your choice, this is going to give that to you. Pyros aren't going to be able to air blast you away if they see you coming in, right? You're not going to be pushed away or knocked out of the air when you're using it, right? This just makes soldier bombing a lot more powerful in the exchange for losing the same amount of health as you normally would if you're not using the gunboats. So, I would, and also less pushback. So I would consider these to be fairly okay for the most part, right? Most of the time, the man treads are only used on Trollger, and yeah, I understand that because you're rocket jumping and you need better turn control so you can land market gardener swings, so I get that. But I think a lot of people underutilize the man treads using any kind of rocket launcher quite often. Like, I often use the fucking man treads with the Airstrike or the Liberty Launcher pretty often. And it's pretty good. You know, because you have slightly less damage from, you know, slightly less self-damage from rocket jumps. You have slightly less self-damage from rocket jumps. And then you, with either the Liberty Launcher or the Airstrike, pairing that with the man treads, you have higher turn control in the air, and you have, you know, more controlled bombs with the Airstrike, and then the extra rocket with the Liberty Launcher. Yeah, it's pretty good. And yeah, I do agree, man treads are pretty underrated outside of Trollger. I'm kind of surprised they aren't used more often. I recommend trying to use the man treads on something like the Airstrike or the Liberty Launcher. You'd be pretty surprised as to what you can do, right? You can't jump as often as you can with the frickin' gunboats, but you can still be pretty mobile if you want to bomb in on somebody or bomb in on a team. It's just good. You know, any banner or the gunboats or the battalion's backup are going to be infinitely more useful, but you can still do some cool and good shit with the man treads. And when I put them in C tier, I'm not saying it's better than the Airstrike. I would say they're about on par with each other. Man treads on stock, I don't think is that good because you have the full self-damage from rockets to deal with. I would say if you're pairing the man treads with any rocket launcher, pair it with the Airstrike or the Liberty Launcher. Slightly less self-damage, and if you're going to be rocket jumping anyway with the Airstrike, give yourself more turn control. And if you're bombing in on a bunch of people, you're probably going to land on someone's head and, you know, do the 3 times fall damage on somebody, because that's also a fun gimmick. Goomba stopping people's also fun with this. So, yeah. So, pretty good. I think soldier mobility is too good. The self-damage to himself that he needs, I should say, the self-damage he does to, I can't talk. Reset. I think soldier mobility is too good. The self-damage he takes in order to get that mobility is what balances it out. You know, because by the time he lands, because of that mobility, he's likely at half health or less. Unless he's using the gunboats and manages to get to a health kit. Or lands on an area that's higher up from where he started. Otherwise, he's taking fall damage and kind of fucking himself over. You know, I would say rocket jumping is fairly balanced because of the amount of damage you have to take in order to do it. So. He should take more? Excuse me? You lose about 40 to 50 health on a single rocket jump without the gunboats. That's a lot of fucking health. And gunboats takes it down to like, what, 18 damage? Something like that? I think it's fine. Doesn't need to be changed. Liberty Launcher. So, Liberty Launcher kind of resides in C tier. It's easily the weakest rocket launcher option because that 25% damage penalty just fucking sucks. It's so bad. 67 damage rockets at point blank medium range are just so pitiful. And then long range rockets are just, oh god, they're so weak. It's the weakest spam. It's the weakest in mid-range fights. Close range fights, yeah, it's pretty good against light classes like a scout because you have that extra shot and if you're landing splash on them anyways, it fucks over scouts pretty good. But beyond that, it's like a Nerf gun. It's the fucking Nerf gun for soldier. It's just So Liberty Launcher with gunboats is nice, 25 max self damage, but 14 on average. But even then, you're sacrificing 25% damage on a rocket launcher. And even at point blank, one shot only does 81 damage. It's really poor. I don't know. The faster projectile speed does make it a little bit easier to hit direct hits, so you do make up for damage a little bit that way, because you can land direct hits a little bit more reliably. But again, I'm gonna say that 25% damage penalty is just... Oh god, it just sucks so much. But you can still have fun with it. I like using the Liberty Launcher with the reserve shooter because you have more chances to combo because you have an extra rocket, and you make up for that lack of damage on the first shot with your rocket by the mini crit on the reserve shooter. So that's fun. You take less the full airborne armaments set with the Liberty Launcher, the reserve shooter, and the market gardener is still pretty fun. It's pretty effective. I'm zipping around, market gardening people, smacking people with the shovel, hitting them with reserve shooter shots after I pop them in the air. You know, I can still do a half effective amount of damage with my rockets and some spam, but it's still just not that great. The fact that this thing doesn't have a reduced blast radius is probably its only saving grace. If this thing had a reduced blast radius, it would be so much worse. But since it has the same blast radius as the stock rocket launcher, it still keeps it in that useful area. There is no rocket launcher that is just objectively bad. All rocket launchers can be used, and you can be effective with them to some extent. Others are just better than others. That's a fact. Any balance ideas for the Liberty Launcher? No, I don't think it really needs one. It's just kind of... It forces you to really rely on your secondary, or it forces you to rely more on your mobility with rocket jumps, especially if you're using the gunboats, right? You're not going to want to use this thing with a banner because you're going to charge your banners 25% slower. So, it depends on the playstyle you're wanting to pick. The Liberty Launcher, yeah, it can be good, but it's just, again, hideously underwhelming. Hideously underwhelming. Okay, black box. I'm going to put the black box kind of... I don't know, where do I put you? Oh, black box. Actually, you know what? The last thing I want to say about the Liberty Launcher is, again, just because it's worse than other options doesn't mean it needs to be tweaked or adjusted or reworked or what have you. It's still, you can still use it and you can still have fun. Okay, that's it. All right. Conch, or not conch, black box. Black box is, I'm having a hard time deciding between putting it in B tier or A tier. Oh god, I think I'm gonna put it, I don't know. I'm gonna put it at the top of B tier. Here's why. So, the old version of the black box, where you didn't have a cap at how much health you could get back, that was really fucking stupid broken. that shouldn't have been allowed. But now that it has a 20 health cap per shot, that puts it right into the nice, balanced territory that it needs to be, and it forces Soldier to play a lot more passively. And it's the best rocket launcher, in my opinion, to pair with most banners, aside from the buff banner, because, you know, why would you do that to yourself? But yeah, it forces Soldier to play more passively, play more with his team, relies a little bit more on choke spam in order to make use of that health. In a drawn-out, close-range fight, it's going to be a lot weaker, because you don't have that extra rocket. You can, at most, get 60 health back, but if you're playing against a competent player, you're still probably going to die. But if you're playing with your team, playing with a banner, that's where the black box really, really shines. It's very good if you're playing passively or with your team. It's the weakest offensive rocket launcher for Soldier, hands down. It definitely pushes Soldier into a more defensive territory. That's just me. I've seen some people rock the black box with a shotgun, and yeah, I guess you can do that, but you have fewer opportunities to rocket jump, fewer opportunities to use a combo, and at the end of the day, you're just going to find yourself caught out more often without a shot. If you're trying to use a shotgun, it's like, shit, I just fired 2 rockets, use my shotgun, oh shit, I only have 1 rocket left, either I shoot again or rocket jump and then I have nothing left. Or you end up having nothing left. The fact you have to reload more often makes it a very weak offensive choice. But defensively, or with your team, solid. Because you're only pretty much using your rocket launcher, so you're always firing and reloading over and over again. So, especially if you're using it with a banner, right? Gunboats, why? Just use stock, or the Liberty Launcher, or the Airstrike, or the Beggars, or even the Direct Hit. Because you have more rockets, and you get the health kits, and you take less self-damage from jumps. So why would you ever use the black box with gunboats? I've seen people do that, don't quite get it, but okay, you do you. But yeah, black box is good. It's solid. It's almost an A tier. But the fact you can do so much more and be more aggressive with the Beggars, the Direct Hit, and stock, I'm going to keep it in high B tier. The old version was like, fix it. But current version, solid. Solid, solid, solid. Definitely more useful than the Mangler or the Airstrike or the Liberty Launcher, in my opinion. And yeah, pairing this with the Battalion's backup with that 20 extra health, again, like the full Tank Buster set, is great. I highly recommend you try that out. It is fun, it is good, it is solid. It's good shit. Black Box feels like a support tankier soldiers with banners. Yeah, exactly. It is the support with banners item. It's just really it's good shit. Okay, last item. We're done. We've come to the last one. And that's the Panic Attack. I'm gonna put it up here. Panic Attack's probably the second best option for Soldier in terms of his shotguns. Because if you're playing on a server with random bullet spread, use the Panic Attack. The faster switching speed and the higher damage at close range make it a very good combo weapon over the shotgun. Right? It's just a really good item. I made a video about it for Soldier. It's a solid combo item. Fixed spread, more damage, it's good. I find that the reserve shooter trumps this one more often because of the mini crits you can pull off with it, and you can chain multiple mini crits in the air on the same target. Whereas with this, you can't really chain consecutive shots because you get that wider spread. So, and if targets are further away, this thing makes up for that damage at medium to far range where this item loses it. So, yeah. Reserve shooter trumps Panic Attack. Panic Attack trumps stock shotgun. That's my final verdict. Panic Attack with the Gardener's nutty. Oh yeah, like if you land a Market Gardener, then follow up with like the Panic Attack on like a high health class, like an overhealed soldier or a heavy. Oh man, 195, 102, so whatever it is. Fuck, that's good. That's good shit. I still find that the Panic Attack is the best option for Pyro, because, again, like I said in my tier list video, you're usually playing within the effective range where this is always going to be more powerful than the stock shotgun. So, yeah. What do you think the game would be like if Demo won the gunboats instead of Soldier? Very different. Soldier has no OP weapon. I would say that, like, here, we'll do this. I would say that the candidates for OP weapons are the disciplinary action and the escape plan. But they're not quite there. Like, if I were to kind of keep them up here, you know, it's just... nothing in here really is in the broken territory, I would say. But they both reside around here. Again, because this thing has random crits and no damage penalty, so you can whip it out in like the last second. It's like, oh, I've lost this fight, so I can whip this thing out and just fucking smack someone. TF2C3Y sub, thanks, man. You are too kind. I think I missed another one earlier. I missed a sub earlier. I think it was by Ratty. Yeah, Ratty. If you're still here, sorry I missed you, man. Thank you for the sub. But yeah, and then the disciplinary action is just so fucking good. It's like, why would you use any other melee option if you're playing with your team? Because being able to get to the fights faster is just so useful. Insanely useful. And with only a slight damage penalty and the increased range that the melee hits have on this thing, and the fact you can hit people behind you, yeah, disciplinary action's really fucking good. Remove random crits on this thing, maybe give it a damage penalty, make this thing do less damage and fix the janky range on it, and then it's good. But they're not quite broken. They're not quite there. They're almost there. Almost broken. But they're not, I can't say that they're broken. No, yeah, I know, I just said the whip has a range buff. Remove that. If you remove that, it'd be markedly more balanced. But again, I can't make the argument that it's overpowered. It's right, it's nestled in like the best melee option for Soldier. What if the escape plan did less and less damage the less HP you have? Nah, I think just giving it a flat base damage is what it needs. That would overcomplicate the item. I don't think that's a good idea. Just make it do reduced damage. So. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So that's the Soldier, guys. We did it. That's the third one down. Third tier list down. This one was fun because I like playing Soldier a lot, so I have a lot to say. So, it's pretty solid. Pretty good. It's fun. So yeah, for those of you who are just now joining and have no idea what I'm doing, for the next, now, 6 weeks, I'm doing a tier list for each class's weapons, where I pick the class at random, and then I do a full live stream doing a tier list, and then I edit the live stream into a video and put it on my YouTube channel. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. We did the Soldier today, we did the Demo Man last week, and then we did the Pyro the first week. Next week, we don't know who's next because we picked the class at random. So yeah. Escape plan doesn't need a nerf, other melees need a buff instead. I completely disagree. Just because one weapon is super good doesn't mean all the other weapons need to be brought up to its same level. I don't like that balance mentality. A lot of people call for the same thing on the Crusader's crossbow. Just buff the other syringe guns. No, that's not a good idea. All of his other melees are perfectly fine and don't need to be buffed. And I'm not saying that it strictly needs a nerf. I'm not saying that these items strictly need a nerf. I'm saying that they're the candidates for a nerf. If they got nerfed a little bit, then I don't think it'd be detrimental to the item itself. So. But beyond that, yeah, if you guys want to check out my YouTube channel, ! YouTube is where you want to go if you have no idea who I am. And yeah, next week we're starting same time, same place, 2:45 p.m. US Central Time. We will be doing the next tier list. And yeah, should be a good time. And yeah, I do remember the old Equalizer before they split it into 2 items. Oh god, that was fucked. That was yeah, that was a good time. It was good. It was really fucking good. I'm glad they did what they did. So yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all the follows today. Thanks for all the subs today. You guys are insanely generous for all that you do. I'm just glad you guys join my shit. It's fun. I like doing this. So, yeah. I will see you guys next time. I'll catch y'all on the flippy floppy side. So yeah. I'm gonna raid Coyote Moon, I think. Coyote Moon. Yeah, I'm gonna go raid Coyote Moon. Say hi. Say hi. Very nice lady. She does the VTuber thing. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.